That's really bright. There we go. Awesome. Hello. Good morning. Very nice to hear a few bits and pieces that we got, like getting the factions up and running, essentially, with the items in game, I think is really, really nice. So having that addition to the game, I think would be great. I think having the secondary forge, whatever that's going to mean, I think would be great. I'm hoping that it's just an addition to Tubal-Cain, that we can go and take most of our fragments that we have in game and constitute these into different materials and items. I think that would be really, really great. If that's the way that they're looking at bringing those into the game, I think would be really, really nice. As you can see, some of the items that we have is like 123 fragments. So I think, and like 1,000 Roses Bodkin, which is a lot. Solace 1, 523 fragments, etc. So if we're able to potentially take a lot of our excess fragments to be able to reconstitute them into another material or whatever it is that they're going to be doing, I think would be really nice. I think also it will minimize account bloatage, which is great. Heathen, hello, I saw you in chat. Nice to see you. Yes, I know. Grimoire. I didn't do my hair this morning, so I've been up since 4:30. We didn't get a huge amount of information this Envoy hour, but I think there's enough there to know that we've got some extra hotfixes coming in, which is great. So the Grimoire and Warframe is such an amazing utility weapon. Yeah, I think having a utility weapon that will allow us to do whatever it does, I think will be really nice. It's my most secondary used. Yeah, I like the Grimoire. I really enjoy the usage of it. Very demure, very posh. Thank you. I did want to showcase something for you guys as well. Just considering how the prisms and the grayscaling in the game is at the moment is actually really fun. And it's based on headshots, multipliers, and the way that grace is scaling in the game at the moment. Instead of using spirit, it's very unusual to see that, especially using a wilder shelter. And this type of setup, the tendril for a shelter is really fun. Vernal Pool is crazy. I have boosted a little bit of spirit. However, I could probably respec into Sapphine's Grace. But I am, as you note, utilizing the Sapphine's Shadow, which is a grace-based prism, in an alignment with the Orangul's Cuirass. The reason why I'm showing you all of this is because I've been playing around with the grace scaling in game, and it is exceptionally powerful. You can tell basically by the armor scaling that I have. So utilizing this particular prism for maximum grace scaling, I can get one more point from this, but I would have to respec the entire tree. I'm being a little bit lazy to do that, so I am missing 1 point in Sapphine's Grace. I have boosted Courage, so it gives me at least a minimum of 300 and something health, but the damage output on Oshelda and Garen Rude is crazy, and I do want to test out the Bromius as well, because it is exceptionally powerful with the new change with the prisms in game. So it is quite an interesting usage of the Virtue system with the prisms as well. I am going to go collect these Webbit seeds because I really hope that they stick in my inventory. So hopefully we get the hotfix this week. The amount of hotfixes that we have seen in the game has been really, really nice. So if you guys have got time in chat, if you want, you're welcome to join me in game. I'm back on my main account. I was doing a little bit of a newer Envoy experience, I guess, yesterday. Yeah, sure. And it was quite an interesting run to see what newer players are saying about Soulframe at the moment, and how they're building their envoys, their prisms. What they're finding is a little bit difficult, so it was really nice to see Sarah and Jeff go through a little bit of the faction enclave rep and having those items built into the game that we can take back to our faction to basically hand over and say, hey, give me 500 rep for this item, as an example. I think that's a really, really good touch. I think that's going to help a lot of the newer players in the game, because the faction rep is pretty difficult to achieve. Like the votive system, I really, really enjoy. I think it works extremely well. The 1, 2, 3 system, I think works really well. It does look like the expansion of this is going to be really, really nice. So the fact that we can move around to see where these particular locations will be, I think is really, really nice. But I also think it's quite nice to be able to hang out in a particular area, do one of these, and then you can basically summon Mada or a Badagar Stag or a Badagar Bear. I think that's really, really nice. As far as the grayscaling on unalerted enemies, this is how the grayscaling is operating at the moment. You have a level 29, knock your arrow fully if you've got a bow, even Thistle will do. You can get a real good amount of headshot damage multiplication, even on alerted enemies, like the heavy unit up ahead. We've got almost half his health down, which is pretty great. And that only takes one headshot, basically. So we've got 344 on a headshot, 617, 630, 630. That's pretty insane damage coming from the grayscaling at the moment. Very, very nice. And we also have some Cabbage Patch Kids behind us. The reason why I wanted to show you the grayscaling is because it is extremely powerful based on the multipliers that are built into the Grace. Virtue is really, really cool. So almost every new player you rate is almost missing so much content on how to get stronger, let alone how rep works. Someone thought that 5k was their daily cap for rep. Well, 5k is just like the maximum. I think with that area of daily cap, I think in relevance to the 5k bar that we have, if it's like 15,000 for the day, I feel like that bar should be extended and showing 15,000. So at least newer players will understand that, okay, I've got 15,000 that I can farm for the day kind of deal. Okay, Tenno Pain. I love that. It's kind of like T-Pain. Do you have auto-tune, Heathen? So I'm going to showcase a bit more of the Oshelda grayscaling. And I also want to showcase the Bromius as well. Bromius's kit is very specific on how it's operating, especially with the armor in game. The feedback that I put into the Soulframe Discord, I really hope that the devs do have that in the works as an example, because at the moment the totems with armor and the scaling of armor in the game, the technical armor that we see on our UI is applicable. However, if I go and use, say, like a sword and board, that's not a good example. Probably like a short blade. If we use, say, a armor totem, so we'll have 5+ armor, you can see that it doesn't change the actual statistic on the physical armor at all, unfortunately. So it does look like the armor in game from the totems adding their points into armor is no longer working at the moment. But also with Bromius, as an example, I am using a grayscaling setup for it as well, and I'm also using the Orangor set. to hear that the requirements for Virtue requirement are being lowered is fantastic news. I think it's going to make it a lot easier for newer players to be able to build and craft their armor and really work towards obtaining a good amount of armor, basically. But also with these split scaling systems, I'm really hoping that that gets looked at in a way that we have more access to medium level weapons, but then also we have higher access to better equipment in armor, so we can basically live a lot more. So as far as the grace scaling is going at the moment in the game, grace is actually doing some pretty good damage. The Tedrin or Forage Virtue is scaling well with health, but when it comes to the armor, and specifically for the design of Bromius, the armor just isn't scaling where I feel like it should be. Do you remember me? Wayero? I do. I do remember your name, and I have seen you in chat before. So let's go get this Spattledale. I do want to play around a little bit more with Bromius, though. The design of the Webbit Roots ability, I think, is quite good. So we're stealing a whole bunch of armor. We can buff up with our Song of Growth, and we're consistently stealing armor strength from enemies. And these guys are roughly level 30, so it does pretty good damage once you allow the Song of Growth to activate. But the Webbit Roots as well is very good for stealing that strength and then building that up. And then once the Webbit Roots dissipate, cast your Song of Growth, and you can get out some pretty good damage on Bromius as well. So it's been very interesting playing around with the grace scaling within the game at the moment. So the good thing about the Virtue requirements being lowered is that newer envoys will be able to choose different weapons in a different class. So on the stream yesterday that we did, it was based on Courage with Tedrin. And as we know, Tedrin is still a very good pact with Courage. But also, the grace scaling just seems to be superseding the damage output of Courage a lot. So the grace scaling at the moment is really, really good. If I was doing this on unalerted enemies, this would pretty much be doing a lot more damage, essentially. Magic scaling at the moment, it's okay. It's not as damaging as grace-based damage output, basically. Okay, so we've got the Banneret. Big old man. I do need to level the Golden Staff as well. It's just not pushing out as much damage. It's only because I haven't leveled it to rank 30. You managed to get a key? Welcome to Soulframe. That's very cool. I'm very glad. I basically will stream at the same time as the Envoy Hour. Reason being is because... Ooh, Marta's here. Let's go take her on. There's the dropship. We love it. Magic is a tad weaker, but easy to use, and if used properly can shred whole groups with combines with CC. That's very true. I was watching someone use the Hollowing Ring, and I did give them feedback. It is really, really fun. Just being mindful that the Hollowing Rune can potentially delete runes and boss equipment, which is not ideal. So I'm sure that the Hollowing Rune may be getting looked at some point to make sure that it doesn't actually completely delete stuff. So what I'll do, I'll switch back to the Oshelda, the Wild, and I will continue leveling the Gwilyn Staff. I do have that set up with the Arcstorm Rune, just for the Voltaics addition. I could probably even take the Hollowing Rune on the Odiak and just benefit from the voltaic damage as well. I don't get the benefits from using this particular weapon because it does scale with grace. Sorry, with spirit. But as the secondary, it does scale with courage. I could potentially switch that to grace if I wanted to, but there's really no point because it's not pulling anything from the secondary virtue that it aligns to at the moment. So I'll continue using the Gwilyn staff. So I'm not going to be doing the maximized amount of buffed damage because I don't have spirit aligned to this pact, but the headshots with heavies attacks with this setup work very, very well. And Oshelda is a very good pact for a lot of different areas of the game. So if you've started as a spirit user, you're in a good spot with Oshelda, to be honest. So if you've got queries on how to utilize the pact, I'm happy to showcase what it does. So I got a code you can use for the giveaway. If you want, Panda, I'm pretty sure in chat the link for Discord's in there. If you just want to send me a PM on Discord, I can do that. Probably up to stream, because I do want to do a code giveaway this weekend, which I'm really wanting to continue doing those. I haven't really been putting a lot of energy into doing code giveaways. The only reason being is because I knew that the Envoy hour is going to be coming available. So I've got to just double check all of the codes that I do have, and then I'll probably do a couple of hours on stream over the weekend. I do have a few other envoys and content creators for Soulframe that I've spoken to, so I do want to do a Q&A of thoughts. It's basically just like a chill chat with healers. So I'm going to see if when she's got time and I've got time, and then we're going to organize that. And I do have a couple of other content creators who have reached out and said, hey, can we jump into a call and have a chat, basically. So alright, you got the backstabs. Awesome. Nice, yeah. I've got the Discord link in there, so yeah, if you just throw me a message on Discord, that's probably easier. Just for now, anyway. Baby boy. Good old Nimrod. I generally still utilize the Cloud Bomb. I find it's very useful against him. But also, I really don't have to do much, to be honest. I've got a very healthy, stealthy killer in the squad, so... You just finished the bear boss, and I'm into the open world pod. If you've done the Wastebear quest, you don't necessarily have to change your pact. You can still utilize a bow, you just don't get the benefits from the buff, basically, of what you're choosing to use. Sound, what is going on with you? Interesting. You're confused at changing to a warrior to a bow. Essentially, if you're using Tethrin, it will basically want to work with courage based. So courage now dictates the heavier weapons in the game. Grace now affiliates with bows. You can select the Thistle bow if you have it. What's my Discord handle? It would be the same as the in-game name, Panda. If you just go into like the chat section, you should see my name. You should be able to message me from there in the Discord. With the Thistle bow, it doesn't have any specific requirement where the other bows will. So if you don't have the corresponding prism for the virtue that it wants you to use, it's not going to give you any buffed damage, basically. So that's going to be changing this week, hopefully. So I'm really looking forward to that. I think that'll be great. Juniper bow, it does scale primarily with grace, but it does have a secondary attunement. as does the Starling. The Blitzel bow scales with both Grace and Courage. And then we've got Maestro, which is Grace and Spirit. It's nice to hear that we're going to be getting a Grace and Courage scaling, I believe it was, or Courage and Grace, I think. So I think that's going to be really, really nice to see that. So essentially the rule of thumb with your prisms, these are the 3 starting prisms. So if you started with Tedrin and you go to Silent Rose, you'll get the Rogue to Safine. And then if you go to Alka's Children, you get the Iridescent Shaman. You do get access to these particular prisms at rank 2, I believe, and it costs you 1 faction point to be able to acquire. And then lastly, we've got these 3 hybrid prisms, which are rank 4 with any faction. I wouldn't be running all of your faction tails and burning yourself out at the moment, because we've just gotten feedback on an item that's going to be dropping from enemies. What that's going to mean is you pick up that item, take it back to your faction, and say, hey, give me experience for ranking up, basically. And that's on top of your World Tree votives missions that you're doing. So if you are a Tedrin user, you can use a bow as long as you've got them crafted with Tugalkane. Thistle will work relatively well. You just won't get the bonuses of damage from it. But once we get the hotfix of the virtue requirements being lowered, I think that's actually going to be very, very good, especially for newer players, because if you get the right corresponding prism to what your armor wants, which the Arbearer set of armor will want courage. So if you've got a prism that gives you more courage and you meet the requirement that it says, hey, I need 22 points. So after the slash is the points of courage that you need. You can also boost your pact with these 3 virtues as well. So you need 10 points to put into here. Essentially, that's 4 points of virtue that will be placed into your prism virtue requirement. And that inherently will unlock more weapons that you have crafted. You do need to meet a few different requirements for that to do. As you can see, I'm at level 17. Even at like account level 7, I'm still using on my alt account the Wuldor sword as the starting weapon. It doesn't actually have a requirement, it just likes courage. The same thing with Thistle from Siren. Choice of Silent Rose. If you start with the Siren Pact, the Thistle will be your starter weapon, so it doesn't require as much to use. And then lastly, you can use Gwillin. So you do get access straight away to a bow and a magic weapon, even if you are starting in Tedrin, or, you know, if you start with Grace, you've got Wuldor and you've got Gwillin to play with as well. With the Tubalkane, the blacksmith, the best way to rank her up is build and craft your weapons and your packs. Focus on those. I would recommend that, because these level up to rank 30. The packs do take 24 hours and 28 hours in total to build a pact. So I've actually done that on my alt account. So I'm building the Garen Rood Pact. I'm going to wait for the Bromius Pact because I know that I can. And because I'm aware of how the grayscaling works in the game at the moment, Garen Rood is a very good pact to build. Orangol is also good. It's a little bit lackluster when it comes to leveling the pact, unfortunately. So you do have to kind of get it to at least level 4 or 5, and then you'll have access to the Wolf, the second ability, and the first. And then once you get up to rank 10, you'll find that it opens up a little bit more. Orangol is an interesting pact for sure, but this pack hunter, if you have Thistlebow as an example, these two will synergize quite well. And Howl is very beneficial. It's increased courage. I'm pretty sure that actually scales with Grace, to be honest. And the chance of smite for your party is increased. So if you cast the Howl and you've got at least 2 of the wolves, you can upgrade your Safine's Grace or Courage. And this is how I would look at building the pact. But I would rely on Feral, which summons up Orangol, so she can take out higher level unit enemies, basically. So she'll target those for you, which is good. So that should help you level the pact. but also keep you basically alive. I'm trying to use close range weapons with sword shields. What do I recommend? What pact are you using? Because the prism that you use and what it's attuned to will basically tell you what weapons that you can use. So if you're trying to use close range weapons like sword and shield, like Oren Umber, for example, wants courage. That's actually quite a high requirement for a newer player as well. So again, it's good to see that the virtual requirement's going to be being lowered, so you have more access to courage-based weapons. Basically, when you pick your prism, say for example, we've got the starter one, we've got this one here. This one will satiate being able to use courage-based weapons. If you don't have this particular prism, say if you've started in Siren and you're rogue to Safine, you still can actually use Oren Umber, which is great because you've got the right amount of courage. But importantly, I do say I've got the pact built this way, and because I've got the wild the wild variants of these packs, I got 60 points to spend within these trees. If you've started in the game, you will only have Tethrin, so you'll only have 30 points. So for me to utilize an example of a base pact would be Orangor, and if let's pretend that this is Tethrin, this is essentially what your pact can look like, but you would be boosting your Mora's Pride instead to give you more courage to be able to tune it and utilize the weapons that have the icons available to them. So if you see the little star icons or the moon icons, that means your prism is saying, hey, you can use these weapons because you're going to get a buff from them. So you get more damage basically. There's only 2 different swords and shield weapons at the moment. That's true. Oren Umber and Bog and Myrtle both require courage, but also partially scales with grace. Partially, but they're not really pulling from the grace pool, unfortunately. So inherently, with the split scaling in the game at the moment, yes, you can utilize a split scaled weapon, but the very first icon, whatever that is, if it's grace, courage, or spirit, it will only draw from that pool. It will not pull from the secondary icons, unfortunately. So hopefully that's being looked at. I believe that that's feedback that I put into the Discord, and I really do hope that it does get seen, because it is it's affecting a lot of the systems and choice of prism to weapons, but also armor as well. So that is something I really hope that is being seen and looked at basically. You can use, say, like the Clivers as an example, knowing that they scale with grace. That's fine. I'm only doing 62 roughly per hit, but if I was to choose a grace-based prism, it should reflect that I have the boost in stats to be able to utilize that. If it wanted to choose my prism, you can see that I lose a lot of armor scaling because I've chosen to go over to grace, but now I can utilize these weapons with the buff damage on top, but then I lose the attunement for the courage base. But you can see here I've only got 13 courage. This weapon requires 14 points to be able to utilize that particular prism. So that's a relatively quick way to kind of show you guys how the prisms work. These are all available from the factions, or you will get your starter prism from whatever pact that you choose to start with. The wild variants are available from the wild pact packs with the capitalist camel, and you can find him over in the Nightfold just over here. If you choose to invest in the game, that's completely your choice. I chose to because I really do think that DE is going to do a phenomenal job with this game. So this is the premier pack. It does give you a whole bunch of different stuff, but it also gives you a few other extra items basically, which is great. But if you choose to pick one of these as a singular choice to invest in the game, it does make you a founder. It's essentially early access to these premier items, but eventually, so we've been told, these particular wild variants will become available for farming within the game. There's no actual time frame given on when that's going to happen. Siren's kit is actually quite nice, to be honest. I think the Siren Pact is a little bit out of sorts at the moment, but I feel like that's probably being looked at as well, and that's basically Scott's job as a designer of the packs, etc., and how things operate within the game. But also, I think having a look at the different pack designs and seeing how they operate within the game, there's definitely a lot of feedback happening in the Discord at the moment in Soulframe, which is nice. So Grimjar, hello. If you got the Wild Tethrin, do you need to level up the regular one also? Yes, you do. Yeah. So if you've got the wild variants of your packs, it's just recommended to level everything in the game. The reason why I say that too is because your level of your account, if you come up here, you can see next to your in-game name and whatever pack that you're using, that's your account level. Basically, just level all the packs that you get and all the weapons that you have. There's different weapon classes within the game. Longswords have the most amount of weapons at the moment, so you will get a surplus in your combat arts for points to spend, but the benefit to building weapons within the game is to overall build your overall account, and what that's going to flow into is giving you extra points per level into your virtues. So if you're an account level 7, your virtue points are going to be quite a bit lower than at account level 17. So your account level at the moment in the game is very important for that reason, to give you more scaling, and ability to freely switch between your different choices of prisms that you acquire. It will also give you a boost of base numbers that we don't actually see on your Envoy character, and that will flow into your prisms and boost these numbers up. So your scaling of armor, your weapon damage, and how the virtues build damage, basically, that's essentially what will dictate what you're able to use in the game. The combat arts, as I mentioned, you will get a surplus of points eventually, so it is wise to go through and build all of these little items within the game. To note though, as I said before, I'm a Paragon founder in Soulframe, so my account level will be higher because I've chosen to pre-purchase and I've obtained different weapons from all 3 wild packs. So that would be the older stuff, the Iver longsword, and also the Starling bow. So those 3 items will basically give me extra points to spend within those combat arts trees. That's basically how your account level will boost your stats in game for your prisms, but also your availability and use of prisms and virtues, and how you set your own way up. And the Paragon Greatsword, yeah. That one is a very unique item in the game at the moment. If you choose to invest in the Paragon pack, this is the only triple scaling weapon in the game, so it has access to Courage, Spirit, and Grace. So as an example, if I choose this weapon, you can see that it will scale here. If I choose to put it on the Oshelda as an example, and I have a spirit-based attuned setup, so say for example, I come over here, I use my Wizard's Wish outfit that I was lucky enough to acquire. I did purchase that with arcs in the game as well. If I come over to my Pact and I have a full roster of points in Spirit, I can see that I've got 33 points in Spirit at the moment. You will get access to medallions that give you a +6 to the corresponding stat. So if I choose the Sprout Folk Shoot +6, you can see that it will now give me 39 Spirit and 111 armor in total. Inherently, if I want to switch over to this weapon, I can, but I can also use Paragon safely with Oshelda Wild, and because I've ranked both the Oshelda and Wild Oshelda packs, that gives me 60 points in total to spend within these pack trees, basically. There's some pretty cool setups that you can play around with. So at the moment, grace scaling, as I mentioned, is very strong. So I'm going to switch back over to the Prism Sapphire Shadow, which gives me a big boost into grace and a whole bunch of extra damage and a lot of armor as well. I've got about 336 health. The courage is at 7 points, and spirit cooldown, it's not too bad, but I want to get maximum benefit from the armor scaling of grace, but also you can use your talismans or medallions within the game to supplementally boost into whatever virtue that you're trying to choose to do. As far as the secondary weapon, I can use the Clivers as well, and I can take the Greatsword safely, and I will get the boosted stats from utilizing Grace, even though I'm using Oshelda, which is technically a spirit-based pact. But Oshelda is very, very good in its healing, bestowing, freezing enemies, but also the Phantom Flock. So it is a little bit more of an advanced way of using the prisms at the moment, but they are very beneficial to utilize. Just so you can kind of expand the builds that you're using within the game. Did we? Oh, we did do Martyr. All right, let's go to the Pact. Pay respects. So we'll go and do some faction tales, just so I can run you guys through on how the votives are operating at the moment. And eventually we will be able to get these items in game whenever that hotfix comes through. I will jump onto stream and I'll share the hotfix and patch notes that come through. That is something I like doing because it's very clear information directly from the devs who are developing the game, and it's them saying it, hey, this is what's happening in the game. And then inherently, if anything needs adjusting, that's when the hotfixes come through, and I'll basically cover what's going on with the hotfixes and how and what that's going to be doing in game for us as well. Let's have a look. Where is our little idol today? Oh, little idol, I need you. But I hope all of you guys, if you're new to Soulframe, I really hope that you got your code from the dev stream as well, or the Envoy hour, I should say. Really, really nice to see that we got the few bits and pieces of information that we did. Wait, Avocot, are you back? Oh, I haven't seen you for a while, mate. Hello. What have you got for me? Out of all of these items that he sells, I would say Gossamer Quartz is probably the top priority purchase in his standardized items to purchase. I would not be buying any of the Blessed Joineries at all. You can get those for faction rep from your faction. He does have the offerings timer underneath purchase, which is 1 hour and 19 minutes, which is nice. But I would recommend Gossamer Quartz as a newer player. Scrap Brass, Iron, Sprout Break Bronze, and Knotwood. I actually have put a little list together, and I'll start adding resources to the Discord for you guys as well. I know that there's other resources online. I know that there's like Avocot GG. There's a lot of people working on that to be able to get all of the latest and greatest information. So if you choose to use those sorts of tools, absolutely feel free to. I'm not affiliated by any means with them. I'm just aware of the wiki, but I choose to go and do my own experience run throughout the game. Excellent. So as you can see, even though this greatsword scales with 3 different virtues, it does an absolute ton of damage, which is really fun. But Paragon Greatsword is something that is unique for now. Essentially, in time, there is going to be a craftability for this greatsword. So I have a feeling this may be what's part of the new system that's going to be added into the game. Hopefully with Tubalcane, the new forge for the envoys. So possibly what that's going to mean is if you purchased a Paragon pack and you get the greatsword, essentially we should be able to go and craft a second copy or blueprint for this item, and I can gift that to another Envoy, and it will have my name engraved on it as a Paragon founder, basically, which is pretty cool. Also, we've had some development up in Merrifior, so if you haven't visited up here in a while, I would recommend doing so. It's very nice. The Paragon Greatsword also has the ability to empower itself even further. So it's got the 3 different Virtues gems that will basically empower the weapon. So if I build a green, red, and blue soul into it, it will essentially empower the weapon even further. I'm pretty sure it's damage scaling. I'm not too sure how much. I haven't actually gotten to that point of basically getting 3 different souls or smites in the game. Merrifior, it's definitely been upgraded. We've never used to have this tower place here, which is great. They have also added a whole bunch of giant statues of a Sheldar, or Iridis, I should say. So if you want to come up and visit these ladies up here, this is the giant statue of, I guess, Iridis, the caster mage or shaman goddess as well. So it's pretty dope. She's holding the Elder Staff and the wild variant of Oshelda's armor, which is pretty cool. I like the split scaling. The thing would be working correctly now. Or you think it would be working now? Using Seathorn and Bog to test meeting the scaling requirements, and equipping the Grace Talisman is upping the damage on both. Testing some other weapons and makes it seem like it's in general Grace scales. It does, yeah. The reason why Grace is scaling higher is because there's the multipliers that are built into the point systems for Grace. So I don't know the exact numbers on it, but basically you get like a half point more of scaling damage because the sneak or unalerted effect in the game is built to do more damage, basically. So if you're using a Grace scaling prism, let's even just take Thistle as an example. Don't worry about the runes or totems or anything like that. It's more based on the actual unalerted effect on enemies. So the reason I can do such a powerful headshot is because Grace has the built-in multipliers for unalerted lethality that was mentioned, I think, in the last Soul dev stream. So as an example, if I do a fully knocked arrow, 785. So that guy's alerted now. So if they've got their weapons out, that means that they're alerted. Even on unalerted enemies or alerted enemies, you still get quite a large portion of damage output to enemies as well. 275. If I was to go throw on the Thistle Bow, as an example, I would be doing basically triple the amount of damage because that particular bow scales extremely well with Grace. Same thing with the Starling Bow. If you have Starling Bow, it will do a lot of damage. The stoning enemies as well. Oshelda works extremely well. We got 2,648 points on a headshot. That's because Grace is just adding all of those damage numbers together because it's saying, hey, this enemy is basically unalerted because it's stoned. It can't do anything. So if I can get 2,000 damage output just on a Thistle Bow with a fully knocked shot, that is inclusive of the Wolf's Eye, which is perfect aim. Increased chance of smite on charged shots. It's smite, but it's also building a lot more damage output. The Juniper Bow is a 3 Grace achievement. The Starling is 2. The Blitzel Bow is 3. So as you can see, the attack damage, even at rank 0 on a Blitzel Bow, with the Quicksilver Blessed by Safine, I chose to put that Blessed Joinery in there to add more Grace to it. So inherently its damage will be exceptional. The headshot damage multipliers plus 10%. So adding all of those together up on top of plus 20 damage flat with the weapon charge rate, this bow is going to go absolutely nuts. This one here is damage at 130 at a rank 27 bow. The fact that you have a Blitzel Bow at rank 0 at 105 attack alone, I have a feeling it may outscale Juniper as well. And because it scales with courage, inherently that should be giving us more health to the Envoy. But as you can see, the health pool hasn't changed. So I know that that secondary grace scaling virtue at the moment is not pulling from that virtue. So hopefully that gets looked at relatively soon, and it works a little bit better. Heathen, you're at the crypt? Yeah, I'll head up to there now. It's pretty interesting how grace is scaling at the moment, but it is nice to see the way that we've gone from Tetherin being so powerful, the way that it was, and it still is very powerful. It's just now nice to see that grace is now getting its internalized work in the game. And finally, I'm sure that the same thing possibly will happen with Spirit as well, with magic weapons. So I think that'll be nice. Oakley dokily, let's go get this crypt done, shall we? Oh, nice, you got the mockery set up on too, with the Orangol helm. Orangol's scaling on the armor is absolutely sensational. Okay, so we've got 3 different points to go and find. Crypt of Cicade is very nice. I don't know what we're collecting exactly. It just says pay respects. I don't know how paying respects to opening a grave is paying respects, but okay. If you haven't been to a Cicade dungeon, by the way, and if you are relatively new to Soulframe again, go and smash all of these urns. You will get an absolute truckload of Drax, lots of patch leather, lots of different items. So if you even come in here solo, it's worth running maybe perhaps a couple of different Cicade dungeons, because you will get an absolute truck ton of Whispering Deadrite Weaves, a lot of different items, and these materials are very, very useful to build up your inventory very early on. So one of the best locations is near the Fort Colonel, and it's literally like southwest of the southeast of Fort Colonel as well. Ah, you don't like physical damage, apparently, but you don't mind blades. Interesting. These ghosts, they will drop graphite, corrupt onyx. There's certain materials within the game that you will need and are necessary. So more of your steel or brass or iron, your river pearls along riverbeds and rivers at nighttime is a very good time to farm. You will find them against daytime, but they seem to show up a little bit better at nighttime. Moronite is also useful, very, very useful, and is a more specific rare resource. The Petrified Ichor is also a 3-star, so it's a little bit more rare. The Gossamer Quartz, again, that I mentioned from Abercott, is also extremely rare. So being able to purchase that from Abercott is very useful. Interesting, I've got 666 of those. The Willow Bulbs, they come from your Willow Wings, and you've got Winter Squash Seeds. They're pretty easy to find. The Willow Bulbs, though, you've got to creep up to the big Willow Bulbs, or Willow Wings, within the group, and if you sneak up to them, like just crouch down, walk up to it, and don't alert it, and just pick up those Willow Bulbs. So they are very, very good to pick up, because you do need to use them for a color palette or sigil to create from one of the factions. I believe it's either Silent Rose or Kit the Kings. But definitely come into the dungeon area for the Cicade and just pick up as much as the materials that you possibly can. Very, very useful. And there's also quite a few bits and pieces in here that are very, very good. So I do have a video covering this from the stream yesterday. So I'm probably just going to polish that up and probably drop that into YouTube as well. It may not be super polished, but I know that the information there is going to be very useful and very helpful for you guys, especially if you've just entered into Soulframe as well. So okay, I think we have most of the things that we need in here. So we can go Tomb Raiders, absolutely. I'm almost expecting Lara Croft to potentially show up and, you know, have the powerful pistols that she's got. Flappy Bird, where are you going? Are you lost? Okay. Are you lost, bud? He seems a little bit lost. Where's he going? Okay. Let's go this way. Where have we not explored yet? I'd assume that this is the internals of the crypt, so let's go there. Wonderful. There are a few different puzzles within this tile set. This statue, you can bring a ghost form to stand in front of it. I'll see if I can actually find one for you guys. So the next ghost man heathen, if we can try to maybe keep it alive, I'll see if we can get this puzzle done. So this is all okay. This is the Cicade area. If we don't get the other ghost man, that's okay. I wonder if we can use the Cicade himself. So this man here is a betrayer as well. So let's go see if we can bring him over to one of the murals. We have a red one over here, so we can bring him over there. We've got the green over here as well. Bringing him along the way of the journey. Just roll to win. You have a lot of materials within this room, which is extremely beneficial for your materials that you can gain in game. So lots of Whisperig's patch leather again. Very, very nice. So I like to call this room roll to win, because that's literally how you can get all of these pots broken, which is really, really nice. And as we're probably quite familiar with, in most MMORPGs where you do need a lot of materials, this is going to be extremely beneficial in the long run for you. So I'd like to share this with anyone who's keen to get a little bit of materials in their inventory, just so you don't have to worry about them too much. You've got plenty in here, so which is really, really nice. Alright, where's that Cicade man? Or Cicade, I've got a little mural that we can bring you towards. Wherever you seem to be. There you are. Oakley dokley. Let's capture his soul. Let's see what we can do for the headshot. 415. He's not happy. Come on. 702. To be able to make sure that you capture his soul, he does need to be quite close to this mural. There's a red, blue, and green. He can dodge your attacks too. But Oshelda, if you're a spirit user and you've got access to a bow, very good. Because you can headshot him, and goodbye Cicade. Essentially what that does is captures his soul, and you should get a fragment, and you can select the mural, and it will give you a little bit of lore around the Cicade.
With a stomach turned sour, flee, pleads the wind from her cardinal towers. A cat crossed my path, more lives lost than remain. I hear not a footfall, yet I draw still my blade.
He's very vicious, I would say. It should give you a fragment or an amulet that he carries, and you can do that 3 times over. I believe I have already got the 3 amulets in this account, so it won't actually give me another fragment. So that would mean that we've got the green one. If you right click on them, or tab, it should give you a little bit of lore. Shimmering with the fayish gleam of the green moon, that is a hint for a poem as well. Though it has no eyes, the pendant seems to see you, like a glare, like a wink. Essentially what these items do, if you wear this particular amulet at nighttime, and you go into the overworld, you can also cross-reference in your journal some of the notes that you come across. The Crypt of the Cicade will give you a little bit of lore here, but this one here will actually give you a very large poem in 3 sets. Basically, the green is referring to the nighttime as last moon sets in fading jade. Basically, this is saying cardinal towers. So if you wear this amulet at nighttime, you can refight the Cicade again and capture his soul within that amulet. And you'll have to do that 2 more times with the other 2 amulets. The Dawn Pendant is worn at the moon, at the morning time. And then you have the Dusk Pendant, which is courage based, which is the burning sun. To reference both of these other 2 amulets, the locations basically are built into this poem. I wake at blue sun's rise, the Kernhold. You would wear the blue amulet at Kernhold. And lastly, near Salzbrim, there's the Silent Rose faction. You would be wearing the red amulet. Once you capture all 3 of these souls from the Cicade, you will take these fragments back to the Tubalcane, and she will build you the Triune Amulet. This is a very good amulet because it gives you a 3+ bonus boost to Courage, Grace, and Spirit, which is really, really nice. So if you want something to boost your stats, this particular medallion or talisman is very good for doing that. So I would highly recommend doing the Cicade event, not just for those 3 fragments and the Triune Amulet. You do have to rerun the Cicade again if you want to have just these single fragments or pendants. But you also gain access to a fully crafted armor set of the Cicade, which is Cicade's Greaves, the Cicade's Gut Guard, and the Cicade Helm of Deceit. I will note though, with the particular puzzle in here, unfortunately, I would recommend going to Google it because it's quite a difficult one. This is the very first button. So if you have a melee weapon at hand, you can press your block button and just throw your weapon. If you hear that sound, that means you hit the button. There's roughly, I believe, 11 buttons in a special sequence to hit. And once you do that correctly, head over to this big statue in the middle, and this door should open for you. I believe that this is the very last button that you have to press. And then once you open this door, this is the secondary part of the puzzle. This one is a lot easier. It's basically you've got to find 3 stone heads, place them up in front of the grates that are at the end of these, and then you'd use a torch to light and burn the tapestries after. I won't actually go through that because I don't want to ruin that for you guys. But if you guys do want to go do that, I would highly recommend doing it because it gives you a very big upgrade for your armor as an early envoy in the game as well. Yeah, or just ask a vet to come through because we can basically invite you through the game so you can bypass the initial puzzle room basically, and you can still do the puzzle alongside another like OG envoy, and you can obtain the armor for free for your account as well. There's lots of bits and pieces that we could do taxing in the game, which is quite nice as well. But the puzzle is quite good. Unfortunately, it just doesn't give you, I guess, clear enough indicators on which buttons to press in what sequence to be able to figure out how to open that door. So I believe it was done within 24 hours as soon as that Cicade event was active in the game. So I believe that was roughly around Preludes 8 or Preludes 9 potentially. Hello friends. 431 on a headshot. Sensational. And there's Lady Orangol. $3,963 damage on a headshot. Why wouldn't you? Oshelda's kit is extremely versatile. It's not as flashy, I would say, as some of the other packs, but I certainly would say its healing mechanics are extremely good. Bestone, its passives are very, very good too. So if you stand in water, your cooldown reduction on your abilities returning to you are absolutely out of this world. Especially if you add the maximized Spirit Prism or a higher Spirit rating Prism to your Envoy, you will do an absolute crazy amount of cooldown reduction on your abilities coming back. Even having a lower rating and Spirit at the moment, you can see how quickly my Elder Bloom is returning to the Envoy, so it's very, very good. Impossible to solo the puzzle 100%? Yeah, that's true. At a minimum, you need to look up what gems are associated with which symbol. That's very true as well. Yeah, I mean, I even had to do that at one point myself, because I just looked at it and I thought, wow, like this puzzle is quite difficult to understand as to how it's supposed to operate. Ooh, we got the Hollowing Rune applied. Lovely jubbly. The Hollowing Rune is very, very good. It's extremely flashy, but it also has a very good namesake, the Hollowing, for a reason. If you apply the Hollowing damage magic to an enemy, it's very, very fun. You can basically preset a whole bunch of enemies to explode and deal damage around them. It's very useful for large groups of enemies, but I would recommend not using that on bosses, because potentially it can destroy all of their drops, but also it can destroy the runes that they may drop. So I'd be very mindful of how you utilize the Hollowing. Against the organs, it probably wouldn't matter all that much, because the drops are built into the actual towers, so we can actually go do a organ tower as well. The rivers, as I mentioned before, nice little river pearls. Capturing animals, pool smites are very important as well. And we've just had one of the wolves activate all of the willow wings that were near. If you have the opportunity to crouch down and creep up to the big one in the middle, essentially you can steal the willow bulb from them, but these are the willow fronds. You will get like an absolute ton of them, so don't be too worried if you activate some of the willow wings a couple of times. They're pretty sneaky anyway, so even though they're sitting still, they are indicated by a bit of music that sounds a little bit creepy, and then you'll know that potentially there's an enemy nearby, or it's the willow wings sitting on the ground waiting for you. They're very cute. I honestly wish that we could charm them, to be honest, and at least have one of them follow us around for maybe like a set period of time as a little pet or something like that. I think that would be really cool. She lives. So the organs, they are a new addition to P13. They are very, very fun. And they give you the ability to obtain the top part of the robes that I'm wearing, which is the Wazard set. It scales very, very well with Spirit as well. It is a very, very nice fashion as well, so very, very good. I would love to be able to charm a willow wing. They're so cute. And be able to pollinize and spread some sort of damage type to enemies, I think would be really, really nice. Even if it was like little pollinated tick damage, like fresh air. The Ode enemies obviously don't like our Alka's air, basically, which is the world that Madrath is in. Even this Medisgaion, I believe his name is? Medisgaion. This man, that's why he's building these particular towers, so it can pollute the air, so the Ode can shift in a little bit further. So, say for example, if we could charm one of the willow wings, I would love that, because then it can create some sort of suffocation to the Ode and just pollinate around the enemies. I think that would be really, really cool. May I have your soul, sir? Absolutely. So I want to showcase to you guys how the Hollowing Rune works. So if you apply damage to them, or the enemies, you'll see that it can explode. If you have multiple users of Hollowing, it's even more fun. It is very, very flashy, but that is how it works. It will completely delete the enemies. So we've got the rune active, and that's exactly what it does. The AoE damage output from this particular rune is absolutely sensational. Against bosses, it's not super effective, especially if they're a singular boss that you're going against. But against enemies, really, really fun. I really, really enjoy the Oshelda Phantom Block. It doesn't do a lot of damage, but it's not really supposed to. What it's supposed to do is basically increase the stagger bar of the enemy to be able to make their effective health activatable against the envoy. So being able to break their stagger is very beneficial. Excuse me, sir. The other benefit to using a Oshelda, the passive can bestone enemies for you with vines, and it can turn them to stone, and if you get them pretty heavily hit, it can basically make them explode, which is very, very nice. But if you guys have questions around, I guess, pack setup, basically tailored towards like a newer player experience, I'm happy to do that as well, because I find that there's probably a little bit of questions around the way that packs interact with the prism systems, but also the usage of setup, basically, like the damage that you're supposed to tune to. So whatever virtue that you're aligning with, you can basically lean into with your requirements as well. Hooray! We get lots of explosion time. I do enjoy these organs. Music to mine ears. Also, if you are playing this particular run, you can use the gun to shoot enemies. So you see them running into the door, you can basically prime the voltaic gun to take them out. Gorgon style, if you will. Oopsie. Wunderbar. And that is how you do your organs.
You would have dead stone, cold metal, over life.
Indeed, Metascion. I will be back. And we got the Earth Street Star. Wonderful. We do have one of the other alternate bosses very close by, so let's go take on Discharged Nimrod. He's noticed us, but that's okay. We can still get some pretty good headshots in. And the stagger amount that we can get on the grace-based headshots with bows alone, very good. Any boss that you destroy will drop you the Agaric Mushroom. And he can also drop the Odiac Gauntlets, which are the ones that both myself and Heathen Ways are using. These do voltaic damage. They're quite good for a secondary weapon, and they work very well against the Nimrod bosses as well. Interestingly enough, because they are voltaic enemies, it actually does quite a lot of good damage for them. And basically gets... yeah. Grace is exceptional. I am quite pleased with how Grace is scaling at the moment. I'm just going to drop us back up to the Nell Knight, and we can basically do a boss run. Also beneficial to do this, to be able to acquire runes and different fragments of equipment. So we've got a boss here, 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 here. There are a few alternative bosses as well in the Neathans. That would be Gordo. There's also another boss up in here called the Reaper. And we also have another boss up here. So there's lots of bits and pieces that we can do today. So let's go take on the Nail Knight. You can zoom in by aiming. Indeed. So your block button or keybind is how you zoom in. So you can choose whatever keybind that you want to zoom in. And really focus fire. But the Juniper Bow, again, is one of the unique weapons in the game. I would highly recommend maintaining it in your inventory. Do not sell this weapon. It's very good. Let's see what headshot damage we can get on the Nail Knight. 351, not quite the perfect headshot I was hoping for. The knockdown and knockback effect on fully charged shots is very good. And there we go. Nail Knight down. Bog and Myrtle is also a very good sword and board weapon too, by the way. Very good. Orin Umber is stronger purely because it scales with courage alone. Bog and Myrtle actually scales both with grace and courage. Okay, let's go get Banneret, whatever her name is. She generally sometimes will change her name. It's very rare, but sometimes the Butcher will show up, which is quite funny. Galf. Alright, let's see what damage we can get out of you. Half her health. Excellent. Here we go. Dead. More mushrooms. We do love them. She also drops a specialty short blade called the Rostrum. That one is very good. That was also part of the Fortnite event in Soulframe. But that one has concluded until, I would say, later this year. Okay. Etheldred. Who likes spiders? She's a very fun boss. She can become very aggressive though. I will mention that. Cabbage Patch Kids. Super perfect hide for kicking. Very, very fun. They also drop a item called Rotted Fronds too. Oakley dokley. Etheldred, how are you, my dear? Super fun times. Hollowing Rune, we love you. Now, the Hollowing Rune was applied to Etheldred. It's not 100% destruction, so do be careful when you do use the Hollowing Rune. Essentially, it has been, like, patched, but I have used it against some bosses in the game, and sometimes it will completely delete their rune drops, but we got very lucky there. She dropped everything, plus she dropped the Ember Wrought Rune, which is quite good for short blades. If you want to find all of your runes in the game, it's in your inventory tab just around here. These are all the runes that you can look at, but it also replicates or stacks all of the runes that you gain. So as you guys can see, I've done a lot of boss runs, which is quite cool. This particular tower is near the Webbit Wood, and this is where you can start collecting Webbit sap for building particular items in the game, and one of them being the Coca Potions as well. So one of the very first trees is right here, right next to the organ. And then if you do a soul site or spectral site, there is another tree just past this area, just over here. And basically the run of all the Webbit sap is you've got 1, 2, another third tree up here, and then down here there's another one. You've also got one in here, there's one here, 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 and then in the internal part is the other boss that we'll be taking on after this organ that we'll go for. At least she has a puddle Very true on that as well. If you are lucky enough to have a shoulder with the pool, a vernal pool, passive active, it will basically recharge your abilities almost instantaneously. Oh look, we get to kick a little Abacochard that's corrupted. Get over here. There we go. Perfect kicking height. I love those Cabbage Patch Kids. Excusez-moi, sir. Madam. If you see these weeping drifts, the yellow flowers around, do pick them up. You'll definitely need them, and a lot of them. Be free, my animals, be free. Alright, let's bestone you guys. Goodbye. Lovely jubbly. Thank you very much for your soul, my dear.
An infection.
Excellent. I believe that we have the organ available, and once the little dudes crawl into the vents, L destruction. Banneret, your stage is set. Open sesame, my dear. We wish to come and invade. Knock knock. I wish to, like, enter, please. I'm being so patient. Okay, so we got that vent, we got that vent, we've got this vent here. So I would assume the vent should open. I lied. I did not release my animals. I wonder why they didn't release. Be free, my friends, be free. I have had people asking about weapon racks. Go and collect from them. They give you iron, brass, and steel. They have been reallocated around the maps, so even throughout big areas of Ode camp areas, you will find the weapon racks, so definitely go pick them up. The Dermac tile sets and the Blades of Andoran also have them as well. Perhaps maybe the Nephins might receive them, but there's plenty of weapon racks to be able to obtain those three materials. Oh no, we broke your stuff, Metis. Hello, sir. Excellent. Oh no. Oh no. I'm gonna miss my elevator. Oh well. There we are. Wonderful. And we've got our nice friendly duckies doing the best job that they possibly can, billing the Odin. It surprises me that Ode man is not any higher than a level 10. But I have a feeling he may scale later. We'll see. Whoopsie. I think you only get 3 tries to use that correctly before it gets upset at you.
The untreated air returns. I can't.
Like the coolest let's leave and watch things explode. Very nice. Okay, well, we've done Ethelred, Nell Knight, and Gauth. We'll go head up and grab some Weather Seed sap. And then we'll go and do the Kabocha boss. He's very fun to go against. So we've got the 2 trees in this area location. And then we'll go up this area, pretty much like southeast. And then we'll find another Webbit tree right here. There is an encampment always down here, but there is also another Webbit tree just here as well. Let's see if we can sneak up on these guys. Another really good synergy, though, is with the Clivers. More so with grace-based scaling and the bows, which is really, really nice. The Flitsmoke rune basically makes you invisible for a pretty healthy amount of time. It basically will assist you with the headshot multiplier damage output with the bow. So I'll show you guys what I mean. I really enjoy doing this. We also have another Webbit tree just up here. Oh, that Banneret moved just on the right time too. But here we go. She gives me a soul. I can activate the rune. These guys are basically alerted slash they don't really mind. They know that something's around, but basically it's actually quite fun to just walk up to them and stay invisible. Very, very useful. You're getting roughly about 1,000 headshot damage per enemy that you kill. The timer, as you can see, is still counting down on the Flitsmoke rune, but very, very healthy amount of time. So it does give you quite a bit of time to be able to assassinate people, basically. In all honesty, I would love to see this particular rune built into Siren rather than have it on a weapon, because I feel like this would establish Siren more as a stealthy kill style shadow of Safine. Because we've got the Prism Safine Shadow, the way that the Flitsmoke rune operates, I really feel like this would be a really good replacement for the little butterfly design-wise for Siren. And then potentially having Petrix just upgrade basically a little bit more longer stun time, but also an AoE that basically gives all envoys access to a backstab directly. So I'll take Siren for a whirl. So we are using the maximum grace as well, and then I will switch to the grace +6 so we can inherently get 132 armor. And this is running the Orangor's Cuirass set. So you can see by the Virtue requirements, 40 out of 20, I've got more than enough points to run a grace build. Still maintain using Juniper Bow and the Grin. I will switch over to the Clivers again because I have the ability to use Spirit and get a little bit more smite chance. The reason why I'm using Spirit ability cooldown is when I build a green soul back into my pact, it will refresh the cooldown timer of Trick of the Light, and essentially I will be able to drop that more consistently and create a bomb which will explode and hurt and damage enemies, which is quite fun to do. So as far as Siren goes, it does work. It just takes a little bit of tweaking basically to make it do what you need it to. Let's go ahead. Oh no, I activated the Willow Wings. That's okay. If you destroy them before they actually explode themselves, you can get some of the items from them as well. So we only got one Willow Front from these guys, and that's okay. We've got another Webbit Stump just in here, and then we have another tree just up here, which is basically northeast of that stump. So I'll just go grab the other 2 trees. There are more trees within the run where Webbit's at, but these should be sufficient enough to build up your stocks. I believe the timer is roughly an hour cooldown, I'm pretty sure, but the Webbit's up trees as well. So there's this one over here. And then we have another webbit tree somewhere as well. I will go and take on Kabocha. Uno momento. I do think that the land design has changed a little bit though. So it's kind of throwing me off. It wasn't as flat before. But there is a soul gate near here. And there is another webbit trap, webbit seed tree nearby. But I'm not at a point where I absolutely need webbit sap. So hopefully that helps you guys find some of the webbit sap for the potions. There are a few other trees available. Just in like this elbow of the river, roughly around here, there's another one, and there's another one here, and there's another one here as well. Hello, Kabocha. This particular boss really doesn't like magic damage, so he will minimize all sorts of damage from you. That is basically what dropping the Trick of the Light will do. The damage of that particular ability is not super great at the moment. But we love Cabbage Patch Kids, so let's dig in. Really doesn't like physical damage, and if you have access to Mora's Hand, that's even better. He really doesn't like flame damage, which is great. Awesome sauce. Now we'll go take on Mr. Thrice-Bound Impid. Oh, he also drops the rostrum as well. Lovely. Which I can actually showcase that too. It's quite a good short blade. It is a primal weapon. Most of the short blades are. And then we do have quite a few other short blades. Grin is very, very good. Pretty much most of the blade style weapons in the game are sharp damage. But to note though, Rook is one of the rare case scenarios in polearms that its attunement and style of damage is blunt. That is very effective on top of the Torch Eternal rune because we get flame damage from it. So this would be quite a good item to use against Kabocha as well because of the flame damage, but more inherently very good against the mockeries. So this polearm is the keynote weapon of Lady Diora. It's very, very good. The throwdown or knockback effect on headshots at the moment with the polearms is fantastic. It can even stagger Nimrod as an example. Even a Koga variant of Nimrod can be knocked down by this weapon, or any of the polearms essentially. Their knockdown effects are just wildly strong. Where can I get the fragments for the Blitzelbow? Blitzelbow you can actually get from up in this area, the Glades of Andurin. That will drop from the Reaper Dog boss. Depending on what pact you're using with him, the ones that I find most effective against him, he's very mobile. We can actually teleport back to that one, and I'll show you how to take him on. He can be quite a bit of a pain, but that is where you can get the Blitzelbow fragments from. He's very worthwhile taking on. He's actually quite a fun boss, so I'll just show you. Rook also is very effective against armored enemies, especially the Bannerets. The knockdown is excellent. I'm not getting any of the bonus damage from it at the moment because I have not set it up to do the bonus damage for it as well. As far as Serum goes though, very, very effective on crowd control at least. And now we have a green soul. We've empowered the weapon with flame damage. You can find weapon racks around these little sites everywhere as well, which is really, really nice. And there you go. Flame is also very good for a double instance of double dipping damage, basically. If you pull Smite again, great. Very, very nice. The screams that you hear from the Ode Bannerets is extremely satisfying. So what I'll do, I will reset the Juniper Bow, but I will bring the Rook Polearm, and that one is Courage. So I would like to bring Mora's Hand. It's a very, very good pact. Lots of flame damage. Very, very nice. The Rook will scale primarily with Courage, so it is good to use a Courage-based Prism. So I will switch back over to the maximized version. Actually, no, I'm going to maintain this particular one. The Oro's Ranger. Because it scales with Grace and Courage. Oh, I can't use it now. Nah, where? Actually, no, I can't. Shame. Alright. We'll go back to the Knight of Paladin. This one will give me a lot more cooldown in spirit, which is nice. Alternatively, I'm going to take the Estelle, which are very, very nice, as caster weapons. I can also take the Thrice Burns, and Precles is actually a very good starter weapon that you'll get very early access on. If you're able to take on Nimrod, he will actually drop the Hurlwind, Discharge Nimrod. This one actually does voltaic damage for 30 seconds, so essentially it's the same style of rune for the magical weapons on the Arcstorm. I believe that these are set up with Arcstorm, yes. So it does basically what that rune does. The benefit to using Flyblades, though, is that you can reduce enemy armor by 10, or you have a totem that will allow you to slow enemies down with orbiting Flyblades. The armor reduction is good, but the duck totem for Flyblades, orbiting Flyblades slowing enemy movement, plus 8 seconds, basically will freeze enemies. So if you're a Tedrin user, this is good news for you. As far as the scaling of armor goes, the Arbearer's Braze I generally use. Interestingly enough, Little Zook's Mask is very strong for armor, so I find that that's a very interesting choice. Regent's Veil is also an exceptionally good armor set to be able to use with Courage scaling as well. Very, very nice. So the Arbearer set is good, but the Regent's Drapery from Lady Diora scales very well. So we'll maintain that one. I could push this right up into 93, and I could change a little bit of my pact to boost into Mora's Pride, but with Mora's Hand, I basically put a lot of my points into the Smolder passive because it reduces the time to allocate the flame damage and ignition on enemies. I do use Hungry Flame. Taking fire damage increases weapon damage. To note with Mora's Hand's Pact at the moment, if you cast this ability, it will enhance flame damage, but it also sets you on fire. It's basically building around this particular ability here. So as an example, if I was to take a short blade as an example, I can basically use totems that will reduce my Grace ability cooldown, which is extremely useful. And then there's also another totem that will allow me to reduce my Spirit cooldown. So I'll take the Swift, and I'll take the Grace, and then I'll take the attack speed totem, and then physical armor. Unfortunately, that's not working at the moment. So a different alternative to that would be parries removing armor. Until we actually get the totem hotfix, basically, unfortunately, the defensive totems in all weapons are just not activating correctly at the moment. That is also feedback that I have put into the Discord of Soulframe, so I really hope that that is being looked at relatively soon. Killed Bruthos up northeast. Indeed, we have. System Relic, hello. Nice to see. How was your stream yesterday? Did you catch the dev stream, or sorry, the Envoy hour this morning? Heathen Precles easy to obtain. Hurts my soul. Had to butterfly to get it for 3 hours. Insert 84 years Titanic meme. Were you trying to obtain Precles when it first dropped into the game, though? If that's the case, and I have a feeling that it is, yes, I feel that RNG drop tables for Precles originally were painful, indeed, but as you guys know, as the game develops, the RNG drop tables do get increased, etc. So they are being consistently worked on. So having a little bit of patience with the team is very good. Patience is a virtue. It was a Halloween. Oh, it was. Sorry. Thank you for pulling me up on that, or correcting me on that. The Papa Pipo mask, the little Zook mask, and the Crone Kabuta mask, all three of these were from a special event for Halloween this year, so it will return this year. So don't be afraid, or be afraid when it's Halloween, but you will only be ghosted so short in time until these get returned in the special events that happen through Soulframe. So, yeah. Alright, let's take Ember. Headshots on Mr. Thrice-bound Impid with a polearm. It may not look like he does a lot of damage at the moment, but we are breaking a lot of systems with him at the moment. He does not like polearms at all. Flame damage, Inferno, exceptional damage. Really doesn't like them, which is great. You can basically just keep knocking him down and break through his armor because you've got blunt damage applied with the polearm as well, which is really, really nice. And as you can see, very, very easy to take down if you have access to the polearm, specifically because it has blunt damage. So if you want to be able to take this particular boss on and obtain the Mockery armor set, which Heathen is actually wearing at the moment, the Mockery Death Route, the chest piece, and the helm are very, very good. The joineries as well are also a very good boost to your weapons, so I will touch base on them. You get a whole roster of different Feybolt joineries, Gildor, Verite, Polished, etc. Quicksilvers are for your bows. If you want to add a Blessed joinery, just have a look at the requirements of the bow. So if it's a grace base, you want Sapphine. If it's a spirit-based bow, like Maestro, actually it requires grace. So a Quicksilver Blessed by Sapphine would be far more appropriate on Maestro, because the way that the virtues are activating at the moment, grace is scaling better. That may be changing in future. The Starling bow, I've also put an Iridus on there, so I'm going to actually switch that off to the Quicksilver joinery of Sapphine. But you will collect all of these throughout the game, so if you're wondering how to apply those, I will have a video out this week explaining how the joineries are adapted to your weapons and what they'll do. Inherently working alongside the prism choice that you have, which is nice as well. Let's have a look. We will go into Colonel. We love Colonel. I will switch off to... What should we use? Tempest. This is a very interesting pact. It was pretty good early iterations of the Soulframe journey. It now does a lot more stagger damage. So I haven't really tested it too much on Spirit Base or Grace. I potentially basically just use it with Flyblades, or sorry, secondary short blades. So as an example, if I was to use Grace and I adapted short blade use, generally rule of thumb, I would take, say, like the Royal Tines with the Flit Smoke Ring, but also with the Spirit and Grace cooldown totems, the attack speed, and essentially whatever you like for the stagger. If we block, you get plus 35% stagger reflection, which is beneficial to this particular pact. It's a very strange pact to use, but it is good. It is quite fun. It does give you quite a lot of mobility as well. So I am going to reset this pack though. I was playing around with it the other day. Its mobility is very, very nice. The stagger reflection is quite useful. Gravitate is what you do want to invest into at least 2 points, because it basically will allow you to attach to an enemy, pull yourself towards them, and take them out. So I find that it does work very well with a lot of short blades, especially when you get 2 hits in one. So even if you want to, you can boost that a little bit further and just add yourself a little bit more rooted, which will give you a little bit more defense against stagger. And then I'll put the last points into lightning strike, which is basically size more, which is not too bad, but it also boosts the astrosphere, which is the AoE field, and then atmosphere as well. It does boost the opportunity to use arcanic damage of voltaic style with the Odiac gauntlets, specifically because they're voltaic damage. You can use flyblades as long as you have the Hurlwind rune available, so we'll take those along too for a whirl, no pun intended. They are grayscaling, which is great, and then we've got grayscaling with the Royal Tines, and then we've got 40 points in grace. So the actual scaling of grace is absolutely sensational. I will switch off my armor though, so Orangor set is generally a very, very good choice. Another good choice is the Mockery Ilk, but you get much better scaling with grace with the armet of Orangor, so you can find different ways in this system to absolutely take full advantage of armor. So we've got 129 armor scaling, which is pretty insane, which is great. So if you want to aim with headshots, you can bring a bow. Like, I could probably even bring Thistle Bow, and as you guys have seen, doing like $1,000 headshots, 1,000k in headshots alone is hilarious. So I actually asked the devs during their Envoy hour to increase the Wazard Wish fragments drop rate. I believe I did see that system as well. I have a feeling that they will, and I really hope that they return the armor statistic boosts to that particular item. Unfortunately, at the moment, it only gives us one spirit, which is unfortunate. The Orangor Fang is very, very good with the +4 spirit, courage, grace, and spirit for your Synod's Belljar. This is actually really pretty easy to acquire now, which is really, really nice to see that. And Dire Skull as well will give you a +4 on grace. The +2 star medallions that you get from your factions as well, I think it's roughly around like rank 3 or 4. They're very worth picking up because of the +6 boost in virtues as well. Very, very nice to pick these up. And as I mentioned before, the Cicade event, the Triune is also very worth picking up, especially for early envoys as well. So you're grinding for + spirit. The Wazard's Wish is okay. Sprout Poke Shoots will come from Alpha's Children. That's pretty much the only totem in the game at the moment, or medallion, or I don't know. We have so many different names that run through my head. I wish we could kind of stick with like a pendant as an example, but there's all medallions and, you know, all those sorts of things. So I wish we just call them amulets and medallions. That would make sense to me. We do have the Founders Packs though as well. The Wild Heart gives you +3 in spirit. The Wild Hush from Siren gives you the +3, and then the Wild Things Hilt from Tetherin will give you the +3. You do have availability for these 3, which are specialty amulets from Koga. So every boss that you kill, you get fragments to build these. If you are building rank with your factions too, another thing I want to help you guys out with, Sacred Shimmer. Pick up quite a few of these in your very first faction. It's beneficial to stay with your first faction for a little bit longer, to pick up at least 6 of these. You may not use them all, but as the game develops and progresses, I'm sure that we'll see new items in the game that will require this particular item. So do keep an eye on those. They are expensive. I think it's around 7,500 points of rank. But once you're at rank 5 with the faction, which is good, you can pick these up, and you will need these to build alternative amulets to be able to access the other 2 factions, but also build these as well. So inherently 5 to 6 would be sufficient. What's the 6 for? We need 5 for sure at the moment. Did I miss something? No, I just basically keep a surplus of extra Sacred Shimmer, because I had a feeling, oh, maybe we'll get like a new amulet in the game. I've just chosen to pre-purchase ahead of time. So with all the faction rank that I did have, I was able to purchase a whole bunch of the Sacred Shimmer, so I just think it's wise to plan ahead for potential things that may be coming into the game. So I think that's actually a wise thing to do. That's just me though. Let's get into a Nara. Alright, so with the Blitzsmoke, let's do some stabby stabs. For every stab that we're doing roughly 300 to 400 like damage a hit, which is great. So as you guys can see, Blitzsmoke is absolutely sensational. Ode Tempest also gives us the ability to attach to enemies and be extremely mobile. It may not be everyone's favorite pact, but for me, the versatility of this pact, being able to shadow and dive in as quickly as I can, is awesome. And every backstab kill I get refreshes the timer of Blitzsmoke. So let's take on Toshtan. This is a ridiculously powerful rune. You can also bypass her healing and all of her magical fire damage. If you really want to just cheese the game, Blitzsmoke can drop from both Etheldred and Seknal, the Spider-Mons in-game. But the reason why I really like Ode Tempest is for this reason. Extremely mobile, you can get stuff done really, really quickly. And if you want to, once you're visible to enemies, you can certainly dish out a whole bunch of damage too. But as you can see, headshots alone, sensational. So grayscaling in the game is absolutely broken in a very good way. And it's also nice to see that it now can actually traverse angles within the game too. So there you go. If you wanted to know what Blitzsmoke and Ode Tempest can do together, very fun synergy. May not be for everyone, but I certainly do enjoy it for that reason. And it really clears out all of the enemies in here. El no problemo. And you basically guarantee yourself an S-class siege for Fort Kernhold. You can also do this for the Curlisle siege as well. So once we get the new siege in game as well, I'm very excited to try this particular build out as well. Right, Astrosphere, very, very nice. The Flyblades, very, very good setup for Ode Tempest as well. Once you've got the AoE field down, just utilize the heavy attack for the Flyblades. As you can see, it starts producing lightning bolts everywhere. It's also a sensational ring cleaner. You really don't have to bother doing anything else but running around collecting items. So if you thought Flyblades weren't useful, they absolutely are. With the right setups in the game, you'll have no problemos. If you have issues with this chump, run up to the top of this particular area, let him follow you up here, and he'll do like a big fancy smancy, I'm gonna jump up and look very fancy. He may look fancy, but it also stops him from actually doing any damage to you as well, which is actually quite funny. Apparently our dog likes to get him annoyed. Come on, we need you up here, please. And then also if you jump back down, sometimes he'll stay up on the ramp and then he'll jump back down as well. So he's one of the rare bosses in the game at the moment who doesn't actually stagger at all. So do be in mind, he can hit you like an absolute truck. So if you let him get all of his attacks in, he can definitely take you on pretty well. He is one of the rare bosses though that can drop the Dwellian longsword as well. Yeah, see, he can really slide through. So I would assume that his moveset has not been updated. So he can basically slide like an ice skater to you and hockey stick you in the face with his greatsword. So he's a bit of a painful boss to take on. So I just think his moveset potentially hasn't been recoded to fit the staggering system in the game just yet. Or maybe he's just built that way. Who knows? Indeed, Sneaky. Oh no, we got a B class. What? We got punished. Oh no. Oh well, we got Ursula at least. Brownie face. I thought that we really had... I was very confident that we had the S-Class for this particular run. That's alright. I'm just thinking... Heathen, do you have another Webbit Seed that we can teleport up here? And then go up to the Glades of Anduin so I can showcase the Reaper boss as well? I didn't plan that one. But I'm hoping that we can. If you don't, that's okay. We can continue the run. Ah, you're a champion, thank you. I'm going to see if I can teleport with my Fort Kernhold torch as well. Excellent. I can. I love being able to use these torches. Alright, let's go burn some stuff. The torches don't classify as a weapon at all. They do absolutely 0 damage. I'm not sure if they actually absorb any experience points, to be honest. But it is fun to take a torch around and burn enemies. Really nice. I can't play at the moment, but I've got plenty of seeds. You can invite me real quick. Ah, that's okay, gaming. Heathen is lovely enough to teleport me. It's just my Webbit Seed pools are not stacking, unfortunately. I have been looking in the Discord, and there's some very lucky players who've got 10,000 Webbit Seeds. They'll probably never have to pick on that Webbit tree again from Bromius. But this is what I really enjoy doing with the the torch from Fort Kernhold. Just the flame damage alone is very, very fun to use. It doesn't last very long, unfortunately. The also, with the Hollowing Rune, just to be mindful of, it can destroy souls from enemies as well. It's very flashy, it's very fun. But if you want pull smites from enemies, unfortunately it will erase the souls from existence as well. So do keep that in mind if you are utilizing the Hollowing. But overall, really, really fun, really super flashy. Does a lot of damage. Expelliarmus. Heathen obviously went to Hogwarts and trained with Slytherin. As did I. I enjoy. We're not evil, we just know how to set up really explosive magical abilities. So the Reaper Dog is in this Glades of Anduin specifically. In this Neathans, we'll go and do the other boss, Gordo, which is the alternate boss to Kabotcha in the Webbit Wood. Thank you, Koga. I can pop in, drink a pot, and dip. Ah, that's okay. Thank you. I appreciate that, gaming. I think with the... I'm not going to do a Koga run today, because I do want to continue building my stacks for Koga. There was a few things that I was testing within Koga just in solo. Also, I wanted to showcase you guys something with the unalerted enemies. When you hear that deeper like hit, that means that's an unalerted attack, meaning that it's increased your damage output with like Grace, but any weapon basically. So do keep that in mind when you're going up against enemies and you hear that particular sound. That's beneficial. And because we're running a Grace-based attuned build with the Prism and everything that is supported by Grace at the moment, any headshots, etc., from Flyblade as an example, if you actually get it on a headshot, which it doesn't look like it's actually activating properly at the moment, which is unfortunate, so I feel like I've been seen. It looks like the hitboxes are not activating correctly on headshots. So that tells me that maybe something is being adjusted within the game with Grace at the moment. But we'll see. We shall take your soul, my friend. 300 and 400 damage with a short blade on Grace scaling. It's increasingly powerful on how well Grace is scaling at the moment. I will switch off to the Garen Reed setup that I put together for Grace. It's really fun. Basically, utilizing this on any enemy that is unalerted is really fun. I will maintain using the Juniper Bow because I do want to level that one up. Clivers I will use because I really enjoy these weapons. They're very, very good. Actually, I will take the Skilter with this setup as well. Awesome. The Orangor set, I really like the look of it. Or, sorry, the Garen Mood set. It is very nice. These chumps, apparently, if they do a knock behind you, I think that's actually classified as a sneak attack. So I think that's why they can run up behind you, hit you once, and you're dead. I have a feeling somewhere that's how they can do the one-hit wonder shot with you. Alright, little Flappy Bird, where are we going? Also, if you guys weren't aware, in the Glades of Anduin, if you use your Spectral Sight and destroy these Moners, I would recommend doing so. Come down this little pathway to the left once you've destroyed the masks. These vines should pull back. Sometimes they bug out, but you should find rare chests in here. And a weapon rack as well. So if you're finding it difficult to find brass, this is where you can find it. I've had a lot of people mentioning, oh, I really need brass. Brass does drop, and it will drop from other areas within the overworld map as well. Just finding them, like the weapon racks throughout all of the Ode tile set areas, the encampments, even the castles, like the forts as well, are very, very good for farming all of those particular materials as well. No problem. Yeah, I think the system, yesterday when we were chatting, you were mentioning scrap brass. Even like the starting location of Soulframe, I've been replaying through myself, and the drop tables for materials is very, very good. Glades of Anduin, the Durmak Undercity, will have lots of crates and barrels, break them all open. The weapon racks as well, you will find them aplenty. So you won't be at a loss of materials for very long, I guarantee that. Now, this is not the Reaper. This is just a mockery. To be able to kill them, just absorb their soul once they get downed. They do have the opportunity to drop the Nurash bow, the Nurash longsword, Tassad longsword, and the Stelton. This is the Reaper boss, so this is where you can farm fragments for the Blitzer bow, and potentially another rune. So we'll see if we can obtain that rune. I can't quite remember which one it is. I believe it may be one of the... I think it may be one of the shield runes, I'm pretty sure. Heathen, if you back off the boss for a bit, just let him showcase his... there we go. So this is his empowered mode. Very, very agile. In Koga, even more so. So do be very careful about how you operate with him. So he does get a shield. He's very, very aggressive. He also coughs up flame-based hairballs, which is not ideal. To be able to effectively take him on, bows with slows are very good. Once you see him glow like that, call his soul, and essentially he's done. Very, very cool boss. Not a lot of people really know a lot about him, but that's basically where you get the Blitzer bow. He can drop Skilter as well. I'm not too sure of the rest of the items that he drops in his drop tables, but he does drop Soul fragments as well. He's a very fun boss. I really enjoy playing him. There's a couple of different ways that you can exit the glades. You can either go back to the entrance, or you can actually go to the exit. Because we've teleported up to the north part of the map, we're going to go through the actual exit and see where that drops us out. I'm hoping that it drops us out, I'm pretty sure near the Wazard, I'm pretty sure. And then we can continue our journey. Also, if you have the Arcanic Magic Rune on bows, Alka's Breath, that is also stacking an absolute crap ton of damage on bows as well. So it's this one here, Alka's Breath. It's very good because it has increased magic arcanic damage output as well. 175% to be exact. So if you haven't been using the Alka's Breath, I would highly recommend maybe revisiting this rune. It's very strong, especially now that we've had magic increased in the game, damage output wise. Granted, to note, the Feybolts have been reduced on the consecutive damage output. I do understand that, but the magic damage in game for enemies, and eventually I will say I feel what's going to happen with the magic after Grace has had its time of its heyday. I think Spirit will be following. So essentially we've looked at Tedrin, that's had its big old power days, etc. It's still a very effective Virtue, but now Grace, as you guys can see, is crazy good. So I have a feeling what's going to be happening in 3 stages is the implementation and balancing act of all the 3 virtues within the systems that we've received so far. So this is just my thoughts and feedback for the Virtue Prism systems. Okay, so we've just operated here, so we do have access to a different boss in the Dermak Undercity. So we'll go south and go do that one, and then we continue forth down to Dimrod and the Wazard and so forth. So let's go there. So as far as the Alka's Breath is concerned, with the magic damage output, it's very good. Essentially, fight fire with fire, if you will. So the Wazard at the moment has extremely high scaling magic defenses, basically. So it's not really great as a caster against him. So hopefully you do have at least a bow or fly blades, or a short blade or long blade. Any sort of physical type damage against him will be very useful. As far as magic is concerned, if you go pure caster with him, if you do have a Shelter, you could literally just be doing like melee throw hits at his head and basically hurt him very much that way. Even if you are scaling your Prism with like Courage and Spirit, as an example, even if you're very early on, physical damage will be very useful against him. Otherwise, he will just reflect damage back at you, and you will die pretty quickly. Maniki Baug. Здравствуйте, как дела? These little spiders are super fun. They tunnel everywhere, and they're super creepy on 8 legs. Or maybe 6, I haven't actually checked. How many legs do you have? Oh, they're 4. So they're quadrupeders? I actually quite like taking them on. It's quite funny. What does pulling the soul do on regular enemies? If you pull Smite on enemies, if you see a green, red, or blue soul, that will restore the cooldown ability of your Pact ability. So if you've used this particular ability as an example, and you pull a red soul, it will restore this. In your upgrade trees for your Pacts, if you build into Sympathy and Voided, which I would recommend starting off with, you pick the first node and put a point, just 1 point into these, and ensure that you can maximum put 3 points into this first, and then put 3 points into Voided. What these two will synergize and do is also, on top of restoring your Pact ability use cooldown, it will also fully restore your health, and it will also deal a huge amount of damage to your opponent. These 3 have been slightly changed, which is an excellent move. These will also put 4 points of your chosen virtue over to your prism that you're using. So if you've started with Siren as an example, you will have a certain amount of points. And to that note, your leveling of all weapons in the game will affect your level overall of your account. So even if you don't like using a weapon, it kind of sucks. But the reality is, if you level every weapon and Pact up to bond rank 30, you will get a lot more points to spend depending on the type class of weapon that you're leveling, but it will also boost your overall account as well. I will be very honest in the fact that my level account is slightly higher because I invested in the Wild Paragon pack, which allows me to have the 3 Wild Tethrin packs, so that gives me an extra boosted amount of points on top of my original pact as well. So it is very important to be building and crafting weapons with 2 Vulcani. At the moment in the game, I pretty much have every single item that you can think of in the game. So specialty items like the Starling, the Paragon Greatsword is very unique to the Paragon pack from Capitalist Camel. It is completely up to you whether you want to invest and become a founder in the game. Eventually, it has been noted that the wild variants of, say, like the bows and the armor will be available in-game to farm, but because of where the Preludes access is at the moment, to be able to play the game, if you want to invest in the guys at DE and the whole team creating the game, absolutely, you know, if you want to support, great. I chose to do that because I'm also a very avid Warframe player. I've played it for, gosh, I think 12 years almost. No, it would be slightly less than that, maybe 10, I think. But overall, it was a really good opportunity for me to step into, I guess, like the early days of Soulframe, basically, and that's where we're basically at the moment. And I really wanted to start streaming, and Soulframe gave me a very good opportunity to step into a game that I thoroughly enjoy. It's in a progressional setup stage of Preludes. It's being developed, so there's plenty of like opportunity for me to sit and do these sorts of things with you guys. So it took me about 2 years to figure that out, but I'm not a very quick actor on certain things, but a lot of it was to do with I'm a little bit scared. I don't know what I'm going to do as a streamer or content creator. Now I feel a lot more confident and comfortable doing what I'm doing. Funny enough that it's on the internet with a bunch of strangers, but, you know, at least it's PG. But overall, that's basically with the virtues, armors, etc. It's basically how to distribute all of the points within your pact. So it is a very good idea when you're leveling to go back into your note file very regularly to be able to check on your combat arts, your weapon levels, your totems as well. That's also part of a video that I was doing a recording for yesterday on basically what to do with these, but also your runes as well. And even selecting different runes will open up different slots for different build variations, which is really, really nice. So we're starting to see a very integral point of Soulframe where you have a lot more build diversity. It's not ideal on a lot of things like split scaling at the moment. It doesn't mean that's going to stay that way. We are all working together to make the game better, basically. So giving feedback within the Discord, I feel, is very important, because inherently the devs do look at that. I'm not too sure if you guys picked up on the small joke that they had. Are the devs there? Are the devs there? Yes, they are there. They are watching what's happening in the game. So having a bit more patience around the hotfixes and updates is probably very much appreciated. Granted, sure, there's certain mechanics in the game that may not be ideal at the moment, but it does take a little bit of time to basically smooth out the systems that are at play. So it's an interesting place that we're in at the moment with the Preludes, but I really feel like this is the foundational setting for Soulframe, which is really, really nice. So hello, friends. Let's see if we get a little smite. Oh, we've only got 1 damage output. Okay, that's fine. I'll take that soul. I shall thieve it from you. Hello. Ascension, wonderful. Oh look, scrap iron, scrap steel. Amazing. Lots of Drax, breaking barrels, taking names. Really, really nice. So as you can see, even just doing 1 easy quick shot with a bow with the Arcanic rune available and active to you, 433 damage. And then it drops back down to 160. So if you haven't tried the Alka's Breath rune, it is available for drop chance from Ruthos, the Gruul Seeker. Very, very fun boss, teleports everywhere, can also use arrow hail against you, which is nice. So, but 549 damage with extra magic damage boost on top of that, great. Also, just to give you guys a bit of an updated pull smite mechanic, if the soul is pulled from an enemy and they've already died, you won't get the full heal from your sympathy node that's been activated in your pact. But if you pull it from a still living enemy, you will get full healing from them too. So, Ascension. It's a very fun rune. just the ability to empower your regular arrows and see an enemy just completely turn into butterflies is one of the most satisfying things in this game to me. I really appreciate how much I've learned here. You're very welcome. And hello, by the way. I do remember seeing your name as well, Charming, so nice to see you again. Could you show me your Koga build, please, when you can? Indeed, I can. If you want, like, give me an idea of what your build is like, and then we can have a bit of a play with it system as well. If you've got availability to just let me in on what prism that you're using and what weapons that you're using, and then we'll see if I can build the same build, and then we can augment it that way. There's no like right or wrong when it comes to Koga, I don't think. There's more efficient and effective ways to build, for sure, but by no means is there a bad way. There's less efficiency within your damage output, but also keep open to the fact that I'm using a grace-based Virtue setup on Garen. Technically, it really shouldn't be able to produce the amount of damage output that I have. I will utilize a Behest and a Torment combo on a boss, and you will look at it and be like, why is it doing that? So the fact that I've gone through and tested Grace, Attunement, Spirit, and Courage, and Grace is certainly winning at the moment, it's basically just to do with how the game is calculating the unawared factor and adding that up on top of the damage multiplier from Grace. So we could probably even do like a slight bit of Koga run, but again, I don't really want to jump into Koga myself just yet. I just want to keep building my my Koga potions at the moment. But I can certainly use the setup against, I guess, regular bosses at least, and you will get effect from it. That's for sure. Like, it's certainly good to build a setup that you have a lot of life and absolutely a lot of damage. But don't feel that you have to jump into Koga just because you've hit that point. You can still maintain focus in building your arsenal with Tubal-Cain, etc. It's not to slow you down, play the game your way, but I certainly do understand Koga can be really unforgiving on certain points. And a lot of, like, I mean, I've even hit points where I'm like, WTF, like, why did I not do that? It's not because of anything that I've done, it's just that somehow certain things in the game are just a little bit, like, off tilt at the moment. But there can certainly be, like, relatively okay builds that you can still run within Koga. So, I'm not a min-maxer as such, but there is efficient ways of building to be able to squeeze enough damage out of a build, basically, which I do enjoy doing. And don't get me wrong, it feels really good to see a huge amount of damage. But there's a lot of different systems that I like to tie in together, basically. Okay, so this is the Behest cast, and this is the Torment attack. So 1,057 damage on Secure Errant, and he's almost less than half health. So that's what the unalerted to alerted phase looks like with Garen Root's Pact. When you cast Behest, it basically will remove all of their defenses, and basically you cast Torment straight after. So it's pretty insane what Garen Root can do. If he was completely unalerted, Behest can kind of be a little bit funky when it comes to alerting and then de-alerting enemies, but basically you can look at getting a silly amount of damage from the Behest and Torment setup if you've got the access to the full Grace Prism. So you can do whatever outside of Koga and you'll be fine. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you know, Koga is still in developing stages too, so there's certainly areas of Koga where you can basically just get one shot especially more so for like the debuffs, basically. Specifically on Seknal and Etheldred, they are extremely mobile, and they really like to be able to disable you as much as they possibly can. So their AI can definitely take you out very quickly. You're currently using a Courage split using Mendicant Armor set and Mora's Hand Pact. Mora's Hand is very good. I would say with Mora's Hand, be mindful of how you're using the Inferno, because the damage return can get reflected back at you while using Mora's Hand. I'm not too sure if that's been completely looked at, but it can reflect damage back at you and do you a bit of a disservice, especially with the Inferno use. If you're too close to the explosion of the AoE, it can actually work against you within Koga. The way that I look at running a Koga run, even the base area of the map for bosses, I look at the tools that I have and adjust accordingly, only because I know how to take that boss on, basically. So let's go take on, I think he's available. Is it Thrice-bound? Or maybe perhaps we can just go to Wazid. Actually, let's just go Wazid. We'll do Wazid, and then we'll go to Seknal, so I can show you guys what I mean. Also, Morris 3, I believe, currently damages you if you... Yes, it does, yeah. I don't believe it's intended. Oh, hey then, you were disconnected? Alright, I'll bring you back into squad in a moment. Uno momento. Morris Hand is very strong, but yes, it does have a reflection of damage on Inferno at the moment. I don't know if it's because of Ember being active, but I'm pretty sure with Inferno, if you jump into the actual AoE ring, it does damage you and basically one-shot you. Let's go see if we can trial that. Actually, good test. Let's do it on the Wazid. Heathen, I will invite you back into the squad. Uno momento. I would say with the Wazid, bring what you like weapon-wise. I would be mindful of, again, of using magic weapons, basically. I'm going to choose the Narash. This patch it actually had a little bit of a damage boost update, and I am going to use the Misgale rune. Misgale, I find, it's good. It's not super directive by us, but that's okay. I am going to bring the Flyblades once again with the orbiting slowing effect totem, so we can slow the Wazid down. And then I'm going to bring Narash if it wants to select. There we go. I do have a full... You said you had the split build, eh? So let's have a look. This teleport's annoying? Indeed. Thank you. It's generally why I like jumping in Stream 2 system, is basically just helping you guys with info so you guys can go and play your way. So what was the Courage Spirit split? So I assume that you'll be using perhaps this one, Eridus's Shaman Prism. I would assume it would be this one. We do have access to the hybrid prisms, but they're unfortunately at rank 4 with factions. I'm using the Knights one. Knight Opaladine. Okay, so you've got your Spirit cooldowns and you've got your Courage base. Okay, so that's a good selection. With your armor, what armor are you using? The Regent's set from Lady Dura is very good. It scales extremely well. So the more points that you see in the very primary virtue requirement, like just look at the top icon and then you'll know, okay, I can use, you know, just don't look at the secondary icons, basically. Keep it easy and simple that way. Steel Singers is actually quite good scaling for Spirit though. So you're using the Mendicant kit? So that's good. The more pips that you have of that status, the better scaling you'll get as well. You can mix and match all of your bits and pieces though too. So mendicant, is it full mendicant that you're using? So you do drop down in stability, so that's right. So that's a decent amount of armor that you're using. I will take Narash because it scales very good with courage. And the fact that this is more of a spirit courage scaling, you do get decent like cooldown reduction. But the totems, if you do have access to your runes, I would certainly be using a grace and spirit setup for this particular like build, because any pull smites that you get from little enemies, you will be able to refresh your cooldowns on Inferno, which is insane. Do you know what medallion that you're using as well? Like, are you building more into grace or courage? Are you using a specific necklace to meet? Indeed, I am, yeah. With the... No. There's... If you look at the attunement requirement, if it doesn't say attunement requirement, you already meet the standard need of that prism. So if I have any sort of grace, which I will, it does not matter what prism I'm using, it automatically is basically like a starter weapon. So Gwillin, Thistle, and your Wooldog starter sword, all of these can freely be used in whatever prism setup that you have. The higher level weapons and the split scaling weapons, they have a much higher virtue requirement. Be very specific on looking for that. The reason why I say that is because this will scale better with grace, but because all virtues have grace, whatever one that I choose, it doesn't really matter because it's going to scale with grace anyway. But the difference on that is that on prisms, it should actually adjust the actual damage that we do with these. So you can see I've got Knight of Paladin. The attack damage on the far right hand side has dropped down to 53. If I fully scale into grace with, say, like Sapphire Shadow, if I go back and have a look at the Precles again, it's now 73 damage. So that gives you an indication of how well the damage scaling is for grace. So let's switch that back to Knight of Paladin. You can tell that your scaling is adjusting correctly. As long as your numbers get up to like 80 something, you'll be in a pretty good spot. That's 15, that's 16, that's 9. Okay. It gives +3 to everything, the try-in one. Let's have a look. It will drop down a little bit. Only reason being is because, yes, it does give you 3 scaling for each, which is good. So try-in's a very good choice. If you go to the Kith of Kings to pick up the Molten Mora, the +6 medallion, you'll be able to squeeze more damage out of that. So that's what the medallions essentially do. You can also get the Bloom and Bodkin +6 grace, and then you get the Sprout Folk Shoot from the other 2 factions as well. 23 spirit and 21 courage. I wonder why. Are you sure that it's the Knight of Paladin? Could be because of the way that I built this pact though. I built it more into the passive rather than these here. So I haven't actually built into the Iridis's Favor or Sapphine's Grace. He said he was using the Fire Side Armor earlier, so I wanted to know how he was getting Spirit. I have a feeling it would be something to do with your pack setup for Mora. So your Try-in Amulet should give you roughly 3 points in your virtues, but getting 23 Spirit, yeah, I thought so. So you would have built into Sapphine's Gift and Iridis's Favor to boost more of your cooldown reduction for Spirit, which is good to do, absolutely. The reason why I like to build Smolder on this particular build is because of the passive as well. Hungry Flame is also extremely useful on Mora's Hand. I would absolutely say build into Healer, absolutely, you're going to need it. But I would honestly give yourself a huge leg up and build into Sympathy and Voided. you are going to need the Soul Pulse Mites to restore health back to your Envoy, because if Inferno's third ability is starting to throw damage back at you, which I've seen it actually done, and I've done it to myself, you will need heal smites, or like pulse mites, to heal yourself. So you can keep these passive as they are, but for this sake, let's go full 10 points into Iridus's favor, and that will give us much better cooldown reduction and management, even further on top of these totems for the Narash, which is the Glider and the Graceful Deer. So the Glider Squirrel, put into these two slots. If you have the Miscale, which I'm pretty sure that you do, it will open these two slots on Long Blades, and you will be able to do Pulse Mites, Restoration on Grace, and Green Spirits. So blue and green. So you can essentially just keep casting these two, and you can just keep on bouncing Inferno off on enemies, which is sensational. So having that build on the Pact at the moment gives me roughly 18 cooldown, which is nice. And then lastly, we've got a few more points left, so I'll probably put them all into Smolder, basically. And maybe let's do Hungry Flame. I like using Smolder because of the passive, but Hungry Flame is also very good. You will do more damage output by casting your 2 on yourself, also using Inferno, but any flame-based damage that you have, this ability will basically tell the game, hey, my Envoy's on fire. That's basically how it's designed, registering how that particular pact works. So we'll go burn the Wazard. Heathen, I will send you an invite. Let's have a looky. Our Babs is on. Our Grey's in game too. Nice. Cool. Alright. I will head up to the Wazard. We'll go destroy him with fire. I don't know how you're getting 23 Spirit personally using Knight and Triune. Only 3 levels into Courage Spirit nodes. I'm at 20, 21. I could be at get 1 more point of Spirit and Courage each. Oh, we got the Vatigar bag. A Vatigar bag. Oh my lord. Vatigar bear. Where are you, friend? Allah! I've just stepped into a very dangerous area. Just like Ralph of Simpsons, I'm in danger. I love this bear. Mr. Quicksilver, I call him. I love this bear. Hey, bub. I really want our Webbit roots have that ability. I love the look of this particular ability that this bear has. So I would love our Webbit cast of Webbit roots to do the exact same effect. I love the fact that it's a giant silver bear too. It looks awesome. Okay. Did we get the Inferno? We did. He also doesn't really like voltaic damage, clearly. I really didn't do that much, but there we go. At least we don't have to fly into his face anymore. That's good. Alright, what have you dropped for me, my big bear friend? Our bear is Braze. Very good courage scaling armor as well. Very good. In any case, Purity, Greatsword, Rook, and Tassard are courage and spirit scaling weapons. For the most part, yeah, like, I mean, the patch notes have also got a lot of the scaling systems inherently built into them, so all of your large weapons are courage, all of your, like, sneaky style weapons are grace, and then any magic weapons are your spirit-based, so your casting weapons, basically. Okay, so it does kind of look like maybe Inferno has been potentially fixed. We love Mirage. The reason why I like using it is because of its way that it actually swings. It's very effective with Miscale Rune. If you're pressing forward, it will just horizontally send the blade spinning out. Very, very effective up close and personal though. So we'll be using this against the Wazard, which is really, really nice. Oh, we got blue flames on Hand of Mora. What does that mean? Blue flames burn hotter? Alright, let's slow you down, bud. You can be cheeky, but I can be too. Alright, let's use Inferno. Does that do the bounce back damage? No, it doesn't. That's nice. There we go. Okay, so there doesn't seem to be as much bounce back with Inferno, so that's nice. Let me see if I can do a full smite. Maybe not. Come hither, Mr. Wazid. So if you get to slow him down, at least with fly blades, Precludes is more than sufficient. Amazing. The Earth Root. We do love that star. I wonder if there's a Vedagar Stag nearby. That would be quite nice. Or can we get a second round with the bear? That'd be nice. Mr. Bear, are you there? I need my porridge checked. I'd like it to be just right, please. So as far as your setup goes, with Hand of Mora system, it does work operationally, like, really well. Is there anything that you want to, like, push out of it, basically? Because as far as I'm seeing, with the casting of the second ability Ember and having that active, and then utilizing Inferno, I have a feeling I'm going to try getting hit. And then using Inferno. You are a 3-star totem. I do not need you. 21 courage, 23 spirit, and 7 grace. 16. That's why your numbers will be different, though, system as well. I was mentioning before the level scaling of accounts. That will have impact on your overall virtue points that you have access to. But I did note, Gaming with Panda, you were trying to replicate the build as well. Yeah, it will have impact on your overall virtue points that you have access to. You can do the exact same build at, say, like a rank 5 account, but if your friend is like a level 10, they're going to have different numbers altogether. So that is something I was mentioning before. So your level account will have impact on your overall points that you have access to. Oh, we got a pretty basket of veggies. Oh, and steak. Yum. Can we have some, please? Alright, let's set you on fire. I'm gonna stare at thee. Excuse me. That's a bit rude. There we go. Expelliarmus. Actually, Inflammare. What am I talking about? Alright, so there's that guy. The passives actually operate very, very well. And we can even set her on fire. And then we got the Hollowing Ring attached to her too. Basically, she'll just explode. Inflammare. Boom. That's how you can utilize an enemy as well. To room clean. And just pick up all your stuff. It's great. Definitely benefits to using Hollowing. That's for sure. If there's any other runes that you guys do want to see, or pack setups, I'm more than happy to tailor them as well. What were the 2 animals you said I needed for glider and duck? The setup on, say, like a longsword setup would be the glider totem for the squirrel, and the Graceful, which gives you Pulse Might Restoration on Spirit and Pulse Might Restoration points on Grace. So as long as you're pulling a green soul or a blue soul, that will inherently refuel your abilities on your Pact if you've used them. It also, you're getting benefit from Sympathy and Voided, doing damage when you do every Pulse Might, and also pulling health back into you as well. So inherently you're mitigating all of the damage that the Hand of Mora can dish out back to you. But I'll see if I can go take on some enemies and just get them to hit me, and then we can use Grace at the Inferno and see how that operates. Okay, that's definitely being looked at. The AoE isn't activating. Or maybe I just didn't have a cast. There we go. We are in co-op though too. Okay, so yeah, if you do cast Inferno and you're close enough, you will send damage back at you as well. Because technically you're on fire as well. So I have a feeling what's happening there is that the passive is registering, hey, the Envoy's on fire, let's do more damage to you. That does bonus fire damage if the target is already on fire. So this being a defensive flame and the armor being a little bit wonky at the moment, as in the defensive totems not applying their armor rating to our full armor rating in the game. That is feedback that I've also put into the Soulframe Discord. I know I've mentioned it a few times. Inherently, there's a lot of systems that work and tie into each other. So to be able to pull those apart and see what's working and what's not, that makes more sense now with that actually doing damage back at the Envoy, because we're casting a defensive ability that triggers a defensive flame, but because we're on fire because of this ability, it's doing bonus damage to the target, which is partly us. So perhaps it might be good to step away from using Hungry Flame. I mean, it's extra damage basically, but the higher that is, the more damage you're going to be putting back on you as well. So interesting. I'm glad that you pulled up the Mora's Hand, because I was really trying to figure out whether it was just Inferno by itself, and it just clicked to my head like, okay, armor's not really working. Why is that? The flame damage, it does extra damage if you're on fire. Well, that's exactly what our second ability does. It sets us on fire. It's supposed to be defensive, but inherently it's also technically registering the Envoy on fire. So when we apply our 3 ability to enemies, it's basically almost kind of targeting us as well. So not really sure if that is the way that it's supposed to be designed, but I have a feeling the answer would be no, and I think that would be most likely being looked at. I would say design wise, I doubt that it's supposed to be damaging as much as what it is. So inherently creating a build to supplement the damage output from Inferno AoEs with Sympathy and Voided, it's something that I've been pretty steady on for most of the Prelude series that I've played so far in Soulframe, because of that reason. So it's good that I'm keeping my distance from my gauntlet. I would say so, yeah. No, sorry. To be very precise on the gauntlet, it has no flame damage whatsoever. So if you want to understand what damage type it is, just look at the damage. It's arcanic. It just looks like flames. I really wish it was actually flame damage, but the game registers these casters as magic. So what you see looks like fire, but the damage type is not fire, as far as I'm aware. It doesn't ignite enemies like Mora's Hand. So as far as the flame damage goes in the game at the moment, I'm going to assume that's arcanic damage alone, which is magical. I would like to see it have flame damage ticks, to be honest. But a good indicator of flame damage, even just using the passive of Mora as an example, if I stare at an enemy and activate the actual passive, I will try it again. I'm gonna move away from you, heathen. You're exploding everything, which is completely fine. So if I go and activate the passive on this enemy here, you can hear that activated, like, knock, basically, sound. I'll have to reactivate it because he teleported, which is very cheeky, so they can basically status cleanse themselves. You can see that there's a damage tick happening right now, which is 4444. Eventually, you will see... Heathen! God damn it! You just want to smash everything. Alright, you go smash those. I'm going to run away over here. Basically, like, with the passives of Mora's Hand, even like flame-based damage weapons, you'll see two different damage instances being applied. So one will be the flame damage that's being registered, the other will be, say, like the physical type damage. Roughly like the same thing with like your magical weapons as well. But as you can see, it's just throwing numbers with the Bastard's Rest. So essentially, you know it's arcanic damage because of the shrimp, whatever level they are. They really don't like magical damage at all. So, and they also don't like anything else in the game, which is very fun to use them against the Mendicant Kings. So, me stinky? No, you're fine. I love how quick you are, though. I mean, granted, there is a bit of a delay on the stream, so I'm trying to work ahead a little bit just to run away from your wonderful chaos, I say. I love it. You're very effective with the Hollowing Rune. I love it. Hollowing is definitely one of my favorites for sure. And it'll be even more effective against the Mendicant King. So, as a rule of thumb, I am going to turn off the volumetric fog. Reason being is because it does look a little bit more ominous. It does take away a lot of the lighting effects and stuff in game, but I do find the volumetric fogs just currently are very thick, and visually it just gives you a lot more visual, I don't know, just clarity. So I do switch between turning on and off the volumetric fogs as well. So we'll play a little bit Heathen just with Mendicant King. If we can try to keep him alive a little bit longer, just so we can play around with the Mora's Hand. Definitely smash all of like the other little dudes, but I'll try to keep the Mendicant King. Maybe we can try like 5 minutes or something, just so it we can kind of showcase a little bit more of the Mora's Hand. I think that'd be dope. So thank you. If you want to ring the bell, you're more than welcome to. But Mendicant King, he's an interesting one though too, so this will be a good test for the Inferno as well. But as far as having Ember available to us, I mean, we can cast it and use it. But I mean, the passive is working really, really well on Mora's Hand as well, so as far as I can see, there's no damage reflection back from... I'm just going to drop the game sound a bit. There's no damage reflection from what I can see at the moment with Mora's Hand, so that gives me one of two understandings. Perhaps it's been looked at and it's been fixed, or well, I mean, that option's actually really good. So I'll see if I can get some... There we go. Okay, so the AoE flame damage, if we're getting hit, is great. So we're fully staggered. There's no damage reflection back with having the second ability. But do keep in mind, I am in co-op though as well, so it may not be registering certain damage types accurately. Oh no, you caught me. So I'd be better off using Ode Tempest with passives? Not necessarily. Like, Ode Tempest is just a different choice. I mean, I think the reason why I like being able to jump in and do these test things as well with you guys as well is just to get your feedback on experience, see what's been working, and what may potentially not be working correctly in the game. So I would probably say maybe perhaps because I'm in a co-op mode, it may not be reflecting accurate numbers at the moment. I'm just trying to be as like visible as possible with the information that I'm sharing, so I will take your soul. Alright, so let's choose Ember. And see if we can actually get... Okay, so there's the AoE flame. It didn't seem to be reflecting the damage back, which is beneficial. So I wonder, perhaps... Oh, we got Purity. Wonderful. Yeah, I'm curious. I wonder if the co-op mode is maybe not reflecting and showing the accuracy of that. Oh, we got Everflame too for the Greatsword, which he helped me solve with the totems. Oh, pleasure, yeah. Yes, the totems for cooldown reduction are very, very useful. There's a lot of different build variants that you can absolutely build into. Like there's parry, there's Spectre Strike, dodge roll mechanics, riposts. There's so many different variables that you can build within the game. So, Tox, hello. How are you? As far as what we've looked at with, say, your weapon totem variables, you've got a ton of access to a whole bunch of stuff. So it's just running around exploring, being able to adapt your totems, and just having a read through of what the attack does in the attack slot, defense in the defense, and then the utility slot. A lot of different weapons will benefit from different things, but stock standards, additional smite chance is highly beneficial for anything, as is the attack speed. Magic weapons certainly do benefit from this quite a lot. On top of that, with the combat arts, you've got Grounded, which is increased casting speed while standing still. I'll give you a quick rundown of what that's going to look like if you're a caster in the game. And to give accurate results on that, we'll take the Gwillin, and we'll take the actual speed off. Physical armor we don't need, and then we can take off that. Additional smite chance. I mean, that won't really necessarily matter. We're just going to do a speed test, really. So bring Estelle, same deal. I want to showcase casters and the primaries for a difference on your primary and your secondary. And just to be clear, I have no boosting speed for the magic weapons either. As far as the Pact goes, there is nothing inherently that will boost the speed of the cast in this build. So we'll go take this out and I'll show you what I mean. So with your casting weapons, this is your primary cast speed with no totem. So it's relatively slow. And then we'll switch over to the stealth casters, and this is our casting standard speed, right? So marginally faster than the actual primary. Once you get the totems that give you that speed boost buff, 15% is exceptionally good. So we've got the Spirited, so we'll whack that in there, and then we'll do additional smite chance, and then we'll do the same thing for Estelle. It's pretty crazy the builds that you can build into and have a bit of fun with. So I generally will keep these on my magic weapons. The Arc Storm Rune is just extra kind of damage up on top. But as far as the speed goes, standing still, I still haven't activated that just yet. So this is with your speed totem on Estelle. And then you've got much faster primary casting on top of that. And that's just with your maxed runes, totems in the squirrels, which are called the Spirited. So plus 15 attack speed is pretty good. Even just by adding Grounded, just that one node makes a pretty noticeable difference in speed cast, especially for casters. So once we stand still, you've got that arcanic magic at your feet. It's pretty substantial how much more speed you get out of your casting weapons as well. Very, very substantial. You're basically a railgun, which is awesome. So, and that will blow over to your other magic caster weapons too. I really enjoy this Seathorn rune, or the Seathorn itself. I don't actually have this set up to Spirit, so we can change that. So at least we can cast with that. So I've got the basic setup of speed and casting time, so it's great. Like, really, really good. And the damage output is still pretty good. Granted, it's nothing like what grace scaling would be, or like your melee attacks, etc. But yeah, just your basic totems of speed and smite chance is sensational, really. Avada Kedavra, yeah, pretty much. I mean, well, that's pretty much the Hollowing rune that you're using with the Odiak as well. And the damage type of the Odiak is really, really good. So even against Dimrod, like Discharge Nimrod, it's very, very strong. Armored units, more so the slugs, it will basically target their weakest point for you. So there's the benefit to using magic casting weapons as well. Also using charged heavy shots, 540 damage on a headshot. Pretty sensational. And this is just on Spirit Attunement too. You can get body blocked by other players though, unfortunately. So do keep that in mind when you're using the caster weapons. But overall, like, caster weapons, they may not do the largest amount of damage, but they certainly fire up a lot more damage very quickly. So as far as I'm concerned as a Spirit user, I'm okay with the adjustments with certain things in the game. Sure, we've lost a bit of damage here and there, but in time, I really do feel that magic caster users will be, you know, brought to level and equilibrium almost, to a certain degree anyway. You can't have everything at one level. That just makes a very boring gameplay in my head. So as far as, say, like, joinery choices, I do want to touch base on the downtune of the Fables. Essentially, you're in a good spot if you're using the attunement of Spirit, less joinery. You do lose some plus consecutive damage, but looking at the benefits of what overrides the loss of damage in consecutive attack damage, I think is to be realistic. Different options like Gildor basically will give you plus 25 damage boost on flat damage, lifesteal, but also gives you another attunement pip towards Spirit, which would be beneficial. So I still don't mind using the throw distance plus 5. To me, a caster to sit back and throw magic makes sense to me. These are built around the casting weapons. This has been quite a big topic of conversation, I would say, in the last week or so. So I've taken a little bit of time to think about it. Sure, it is what it is. I accept it as it is. I don't mind the fact that the consecutive damage has been reduced. I really don't. If you want to benefit from lifesteal, I think that's actually a really good, viable option. As far as a particular joinery being adjusted the way that it has, you still have benefits to throw distance. What I would say is remove the parry stability cost. It doesn't make sense for a magical joinery to have parry stability when we can't really parry with that particular weapon class. So as a solution or thought process to this, instead of having parry stability, perhaps put in stagger defense. Something along that line that's defensive, that's going to supplementally support the Envoy who's choosing to use Spirit within the game. Because of the reduction in damage, it sucks, but we don't know what's going to be happening after that. So yeah, it has been quite a big topic. So only being able to parry magic attacks where there's hardly any in general, well, yeah, true. I mean, I know that we've talked about this like a few times gaming with men, but like, take like the Wazid, for example. You know, he blocks 99% of our damage, and he's a magic user. But that's not to say there may not be other magical enemies being entered into the game that we can actually take on. I did just have a thought. Perhaps we can go do the Curlal Siege. I'm going to go see if I can maybe pick up some Webbit Seeds. I do want to take Oshelda, though, because I do enjoy using the Oshelda Pact. Do I have Webbit Seeds? No! God damn it. Alright. Also, just touching base on what we heard in the Envoy hour this morning. I am very excited to see at whatever stage it happens this week, hopefully, fingers crossed, the new forging area or smithing area that we potentially may be getting. I really hope it's with Tubal-Caarne, and I really hope it is something to do with smelting down extra fragments. I did touch base with that with you guys in chat earlier this morning. Very excited to see that happen. I really hope that we can basically melt things down and reconstitute them perhaps into randomized joineries that will give us benefits to magical weapons. Who knows? I really hope that that may potentially happen in the game. I think that would really fix a lot of conversations of I really don't like, or this isn't working because of, or this is not. There's a lot of feedback coming through at the moment, and we don't know the creative direction of the game. I take it as more of a realistic approach. I don't know what's going on for future or what's been planned, but I do have an open mindset to, okay, I may not like the systems at the moment, but it's because I don't understand them. The Prism systems alone, I'm actually happy with. I like not having to min-max our numbers. I like that they're like the way that they are. I don't mind so much having to switch between armor. Initially, I was a bit ticked off about it, to be honest. Very honest, actually. I was really not happy with it. The fact that I had to go and pick a prism and go into X, Y, and Z, but that's also part and part of being part of the preludes as well. So I really had to sit with that myself and understand, okay, I really need to work on being able to look at how am I using the systems that I have. So it just takes a bit of time to understand, okay, I need to use X, Y, and Z to get the effect of, you know, what I'm using in game. Probably some of the pain points, mostly I would say 10%, would be the split scaling systems at the moment, just because of how they're not correctly pulling or seemingly correctly pulling from the dual stats that we have available. I think there was another split scaling joinery that was mentioned by Jeff, I believe, this morning. I think it was Grace Courage. I think I would assume that it would be something along that line. Basically, I have a feeling that one is going to be introduced into the game, and then inherently, hopefully that helps to smooth out the split scaling system that we have, especially with pulling from that primary virtue and that secondary. So you have more flexibility build options, basically for newer players and like mid-level, like area players of your journey. I think that will fix a lot. I think as far as the votives are concerned, with the faction tails, I think enemies having an icon or medallion or something along those lines, whatever it's going to be called, to be added into the game so we can take that back to our faction leader and say, hey, give me more rep for the adventures I've gone on, I think will be extremely good, because I think there's a big stopgap with the overall level of an Envoy and the accessibility to weapon use within the game. Not just that, but I also feel that armor choices, the split scales especially, the gap between newer player and like later game stage Envoys is quite large, but I think it sounds kind of intentional to like have that gap, so to speak. So bridging that gap, I guess you want to have like a smooth ascension into you know, super hybrid builds basically. So you don't want it so top heavy that everyone's doing like excessively stupid amounts of damage. Thank you very much for the invite, Heathen, and also Carlisle with the Webbit Seeds. I feel like I'm a naughty paragon not having any Webbit Seeds at all. But I mean, also that's something that I can't help in the game. It's just, it is what it is. Unfortunately, with the Webbit Seed action happening in game at the moment, I wish Bromius would stop eating them. That'd be nice. Let me text you to Curl. Yeah, Perp. I did see your chat, but I was on a tangent of chatting away. And we'll just chuck on the volumetric box, though. We love those. If you are seeing odd little articles of visuals in the game with volumetric wind, maybe perhaps turn that off and you will stop seeing strange visuals in the game. It's mostly just to do with like plants and the way that our spectral sight applies its pulse of energy out. It tends to compress visual articles, such as certain trees in the game. So it's actually quite interesting to play around with. I'm going to try to sleep. It's 2 a.m? Wow. Okay, charming. Go and get some sleep. That's crazy, crazy. Sleep well. I'm sure that I'll see you soon. 415. Magical. No pun intended. Okay. What have we got? Death. That's what we want. Wait, you don't get bestowed? Ah, that's a shame. I like this guy's armor set, and I also really enjoy his passive. Hello, sir. I will have to do some damage for him to activate his passive. It's actually quite fun. Boom. Hope the rest of the stream goes amazing for you. Thank you very much, System. Great to see you. Alright. Heathen, I will probably pull you back into my game. Just the stream decided to disconnect momentarily. So I may just kind of carry that instead and see how we go. So we do have Curl open, but yeah, the red balloon's here, so it should be open and available to us. Awesome sauce. Alright, yeah, everything seems pretty stable now, so thank you. Alright, we get some Expelliarmus time. Alright, we'll pull you too. I believe I've got the Arcstorm room available. We do. Excellent. Alright, Throw. Thank you very much for your soul. I appreciate your patronage. Where is that mage? I don't actually have a full setup on this build, unfortunately, but that should be sufficient for now. Goodbye. Okay, birdies. There we go. That was a slide and a half. Yo, okay. Alright, we're getting some fun little stuff happening in the game. This is great. Alright, what have we got here? We got Strap Iron, okay. Sinsvilk Grappler. Alright. It's time to room clean. Wonderful. We've got one little enemy just over here. Or two, I should say. Okay. So this is the tower that we need to go. Okie dokie. Alright. Let's be cool. Go get that grappler. Awesome. Hello. Goodbye. I will take your soul. I appreciate your patronage. And light him up. I do love the Odiak, it's very flashy. A very good cast as secondary, I have to say that. Okay, well, hopefully we get the S-Class here. Oh yeah. Excellent. And we got the 4 burn for the shields. Amazing. I should probably go check my this children's rep, to be honest, as well. But we can do that another time. Heathen, thank you very much for carrying me through Soulframe today. This has been great. You've done exceptional damage. That's for sure. Oh look, you even cleaned out the whole rune area for me. Thank you. The hollowing rune. It's very, very, very handy as well. Thank me for the carry. Oh, I'm not really sure if I did all that much. To be honest, I feel like I've just done a lot more explanation and talking, which is what I truly enjoy. I did want to touch base on a few things just before I disappear. The Garen Shrine, straight north of that is a world tree, but also this Dermak Undercity. This particular node, if you go down the well, you will be able to find Avocot there. Basically permanently. He's just off to the side, down the stairs, hiding in some green bushes. I have had a few people ask me, where do I find Avocot and his shop? This is one of the more static locations of where he hangs out. The secondary area is just southeast of the College of Pensives. If you come down through here and go up through the town and into the grove of trees, you will also find Avocot hanging out there as well. So if you guys weren't sure where he hangs out, basically, if you're not finding him around the world of Madrath, basically those two locations are where he hangs out. If you guys have got any other questions before I decide to depart for some food and human needs, then I am more than happy to show you guys on to someone, if I know someone in the directory who is streaming Soulframe as well. Currently, we've been on a 4-hour stream, so I'm quite proud of myself for pushing into a 4-hour stream as well. So before I wrap up, I'm just going to go fix up my shoulder setup, and then we will see who is available for Soulframe. Let's have a look. Generally, I will do a defensive magic armor and defense against stagger on my magical weaponry. So until we actually see our armor correctly applying to our weapons, that's essentially how I will run most of my setups for my magical weapons, on top of the attack speed plus and the additional 13 smite chance. As far as the combat arts go, I generally go for Scry, but I always go for Smitten on any weapon class. It doesn't matter what it is, Smitten is a very, very good node to pick up very early on, as soon as you can. So even a base setup in magic weapons in this instance is quite good. Mirror spell deflecting voltaic projectiles with a timed guard. I'm not sure why they're saying deflecting voltaic projectiles. I have a feeling this is an earlier iteration for the voltaic Odiak gauntlets, which was basically one of the weapons that we have access to very early on, and it was our original spirit starting class weapon. Unhindered is actually quite a good node to be using on the spirit class users because of the increased number of enemies, but also the heavy cast being able to basically punch through all of those enemies as well. As far as the magic tree goes, with Spectre Strike, it is based on perfect dodge. Jolted is increased stagger on Spectre Strikes. Warding Ways is heightened defense against stagger when guarding, so that is actually useful to pick up. And increased smite on Spectre Strikes, that is all built back into Spectre Strike itself. If you want to, you can build into Warding Ways. It's not absolutely necessary to. And Misdirection, again, is just more Spectre Strike on perfect dodges. I haven't quite tested a lot of the perfect dodges per se. So eventually, if you do have all magic weapons within the game, the Odiak, the Estelle from the Paragon Founder, or the Founders Pack for a Shelter, but Basker's Rest, and then Gwillin, Earthroot, Alderstaff, and then Seathorn. that is enough in our combat arts, in our magic tree, to be more than sufficient to have a surplus of points. But also, same deal goes with long swords in the game. You have an 18 surplus of points. So hopefully we'll see a little bit more expansion, or something along the lines of expansion within combat arts. I do understand at some point the combat arts will be, this particular setup will be removed, and then it will be replaced with a newer system, essentially allowing us to create our own combat arts, which is pretty cool, to be honest. And I feel like that really gives more authentic ownership, or feeling of ownership, of your Envoy within the game. And I feel that a lot of people would really appreciate that. I think just with the iteration of Preludes 13 shifting our Prism systems, I think some people, from feedback that I've seen, feel like they've lost a little bit of agency over the setup of their Envoy, where I felt the same way initially, but now playing with the system and gaining a little bit more understanding on how these interact, but also back-end kind of systems, such as, say, like the armor not necessarily activating 100% at the moment. I'm okay with that now, understanding that more. So inherently, this is what I'd like to do, is give you guys an understanding of, okay, there may be certain things that aren't really operating 100%, but, you know, it's just in developmental stages of figuring out how all those little elements interlock with each other and work well together. So I am going to sweep this one, and then I will chuck back on the lovely Gwillin. We will do magic armor, and then we will do
that was easy.
Defense against stagger as well. Solano Morales. Very cool name. Thank you very much for the follow for the channel. I'll see you on next on GG. You too, Heathen. Thank you very much. Baskets needs 2 fragments. It surely does. But you can also be part of Kith of Kings and obtain the fragments for them from the Kith of Kings faction as well. So drops on. No, with the drops, that was earlier this morning with watching the Soulframe Envoy hour that we had. Do you have your whispers open though in Twitch? Did you get an opportunity to see the dev stream at all? Let me have a looky. If you've got whispers open, I can send you a gift. Bear with me. I think it's a good way to end the stream as well. That's not what I want. It's trying to sign me up again. I don't need to sign up to another account. Just bear with me. I'm just going to double check. Do administration. It's super fun. But Solano, if you're looking for a code, like, if you just want to confirm that in chat for me, and if you've got your whispers open on Twitch, I can actually send you the code that I obtained from the Envoy hour today, if you like. Have you set up your account for Soulframe? Or is it mostly just for like an extra code, like to access the game? Or are you looking for a friend, or just looking for extra code in general? If you're there, if not, that's okay. Okey-dokey. All right. Well, don't know if Solano is there. That is a-okay. Yeah, I guess so. Alright, well that's a quick exit. For sure. Alright, I'll send you guys on with love to another Soulframe streamer, see who is online. Emma plays Soulframe. I believe that Bert Perkins was meeting her and he said that she's a really cool chick, so I'm happy to just drop a raid in on her. Bert Perkins is also playing Soulframe, but I'm happy to go support Emma plays Soulframe, so I believe that she's Kiwi. Very cool chick, so not exactly sure of the vibe, but I'm sure that you guys can help support her in the game as well. So I will set that up for the raid, and I hope you guys enjoy your time with Emma plays Soulframe. And thank you very much for joining in. It's been an absolute pleasure sharing all the information that I have. So I will see you guys potentially later this evening. I will be doing a little bit more streaming this week, but that will be changing as of next week. Real life calls, and so does the new contract that I've entered into. So I will keep you guys posted on certain things, but I will keep these videos going a little bit more consistently throughout this week. And hopefully you guys enjoy your time with Emma Plays Soulframe. Ciao for now.